Chapter 1476. At that moment, Ling Xiao felt as if the 100 Insects Demon King had aged a lot. Although the 100 Insects Demon King was in existence from tens of thousands of years ago, she had not lived until now. She had reincarnated for some reason. It was very likely that the 100 Insects Demon King, like the other Demon Kings, had cultivated to the rebirth realm or even higher. That was why she could do this. After coming back to life, she had to cultivate from the beginning. Generally speaking, the sea race lived longer than humans, but they were only about 200 years old. The heaven realm could increase one's lifespan by 10 to 20 years. The grotto heaven realm could increase one's lifespan by 50 years. The yin-yang realm could increase one's lifespan by 100 years. In that case, she only had 300 years of lifespan. She had probably cultivated on the Sacred Dynasty's immortal island for close to 200 years. Otherwise, it would have been very difficult for her to reach the 5th layer of the yin-yang realm. After all, the mountain river martial soul had not reappeared that time. The sealed world's cultivators generally cultivated slowly. Even the immortal Lyceum could not change this. Therefore, it was very difficult for cultivators to reach the yin-yang realm at that time. However, after the mountain river martial soul reappeared, the situation was very different. This was also why geniuses had appeared in large numbers recently, and all of them had cultivated at an astonishing speed. In order to block Ling Xiao's attack, the 100 Insects Demon King had consumed another 100 years of her lifespan. She probably only had a few decades left, or even a dozen years left. Therefore, it was normal for her face to become older. The old 100 Insects Demon King's eyes were full of anger. She roared and stabbed the serpent sword in her hand at Ling Xiao. The sword light was treacherous and powerful. At the same time, the scorpion tail and snake hair attacked Ling Xiao. She had no time to waste. Only she knew how dangerous her current situation was. She would not do something like the yin-yang reversal unless she had no other choice. However, Ling Xiao had forced her to use this extremely dangerous secret technique. Damn it! Ling Xiao looked at the 100 Insects Demon King with determination in his eyes. He released the huge golden crow sword chi without holding back. Rumble! The golden crow sword chi blocked the 3 attacks of the 100 Insects Demon King. Torrential flames and glaring radiance constantly released scorching energy, as if wanting to completely incinerate the opponent. Finally, the power was released at a certain moment. Ling Xiao's body was sent flying for several hundred meters before coming to a stop. The 100 Insects Demon King was even more miserable. Because of the myriad beast blood refining formation, even if she borrowed the power of the Yellow Spring, she still couldn't completely block Ling Xiao's attack. Her body was burned and covered in wounds. He was battered and exhausted. Because of this attack, she was lucky enough to escape from the myriad beast blood refining formation. However, she hovered in midair and did not attack again. Ling Xiao was too cunning. He could not use common sense to deal with this kid. Otherwise, he would definitely suffer again. She was surprised, but in fact, Ling Xiao felt even more regretful. Yin-yang realm cultivation is too terrifying. He was clearly in a situation of certain death, but he still managed to find a chance. Ling Xiao couldn't help but sigh inwardly. The reversal of yin and yang was simply a creation of heaven and earth. It was too heaven-defying. Although he had to pay a huge price, this move could really save his life in a situation where he was sure to die. Of course, Ling Xiao also understood that the reason he couldn't kill the 100 Insects Demon King was not only because the Demon King was powerful, but also because he wasn't strong enough. If he was also a yin-yang realm expert, even if the 100 Insects Demon King used yin-yang reversal, that attack would have killed him. What a pity! The silver moon greedy wolf was so shocked that it couldn't describe its emotions with words. It really didn't expect to put the 100 Insects Demon King in such a sorry state. Although it really wanted the 100 Insects Demon King to die, there was still a huge difference in strength between Ling Xiao and the 100 Insects Demon King. It thought that it was already very lucky to escape the 100 Insects Demon King's pursuit. However, this scene really made it very excited. It let out a deep roar. "Do you want to fight with me? All right, I'll be a knight for once." Ling Xiao didn't refuse the Silver Moon greedy wolf's good intentions and jumped onto its back. Aura fusion. Aura fusion wasn't the same as body fusion, but it could still give Ling Xiao great benefits, allowing him to display strength greater than his own cultivation base. Why did so many warriors like to fight riding beasts? It was because 1 + 1 wasn't simply equal to 2. If that was the case, it would be better to fight separately. After riding, the aura of both sides would fuse and their strength would increase. The mount would focus on movement. The knight would focus on battle. The fighting strength it could display was much greater than before. Ling Xiao didn't do this before because he couldn't completely trust the Silver Moon greedy wolf. However, it was different now. He just saw that the Silver Moon greedy wolf was willing to risk its life to fight for him. If he didn't trust such a guy, who else could he trust? Kill. Since the 100 Insects Demon King wasn't willing to escape or attack, Ling Xiao chose to take the initiative to attack. The Silver Moon greedy wolf was faster than him. He could completely ignore movement and focus on attacking. This way, his strength wouldn't be scattered, and he could even borrow the Silver Moon greedy wolf's strength. The fighting strength he could display was on a higher level than before. In the sky, fiery clouds rolled. He was like an ancient Silver Moon Knight, riding the moonlight to kill his enemy. As he charged, powerful strength constantly gathered on the sword in his hand. The power continued to increase. The 100 Insects Demon King stared at Ling Xiao, the hatred in its eyes growing stronger. After its resurrection, it had raised its cultivation base to the 5th level of the Yin-Yang realm with great difficulty. It had thought that it could conquer the world and restore the glory of the true demon empire. However, today, it had fallen at the hands of a young human. Not only did it feel great humiliation, it also felt an indescribable hatred. "I'll destroy you." Hatred finally blinded its eyes. She wanted to use 100 years of her lifespan to exchange for this powerful strength to kill Ling Xiao. She withdrew the fusion with the scorpion and let out a crazy roar. Her body was surrounded by a dense swarm of poisonous bees. A crazy demonic wind swept out, accompanied by a terrifying buzzing sound, and attacked Ling Xiao. Boom! A terrifying collision began in the sky. At that moment, it seemed like the sky was about to be torn apart. The mystic world's laws seemed to be collapsing because of this. This guy doesn't seem to be purely borrowing strength. Her strength has increased again. It seems that the 100 years of her lifespan wasn't wasted. Ling Xiao originally thought that he and the Silver Moon greedy wolf would be able to easily kill the 100 Insects Demon King. However, he was wrong. The 100 Insects Demon King's strength was close to the Yin-Yang realm again. Fortunately, it hadn't reached the Yin-Yang realm directly. Otherwise, there would be no way to play. Chapter 1477. Ling Xiao clearly knew little about Yin-Yang realm experts, so the 100 Insects Demon King's sudden outburst caught him off guard. But now that things had developed to this point, there was no turning back. He couldn't retreat even if he wanted to. Fortunately, he wasn't completely desperate. It wasn't impossible to kill the 100 Insects Demon King, but perhaps he would have to take another risk. Die! 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 The 100 Insects Demon King's eyes were full of hatred. She had already lost her mind. Ling Xiao had caused her to be in such a miserable state, which had never happened before. Even when the true demon empire declared war on the entire mystic world, she hadn't been in such a miserable state. Ling Xiao had become her #1 enemy. Her anger couldn't be quelled without killing him. Retreat! Ling Xiao knew that he couldn't fight the 100 Insects Demon King head-on. She was too strong, but the borrowed power was limited and would definitely disappear at some point. His Tai Chi eye had accurately captured this point. So what he needed to do now was to use all kinds of techniques to stall for time and drag the 100 Insects Demon King to death. The 100 Insects Demon King obviously knew the trouble she was facing, so she was even more anxious to kill Ling Xiao. She raised her speed to the extreme, and a sky full of poisonous bees pounced on Ling Xiao, while her figure suddenly disappeared. Ling Xiao could avoid the poisonous bees, but he couldn't avoid the 100 Insects Demon King's surprise attack. The 100 Insects Demon King was even faster than him and the Silver Moon Greedy Wolf combined. In an instant, she was in front of him. This time, the 100 Insects Demon King didn't use the Great Serpent Sword, but grabbed at Ling Xiao with her bare hands. Her hand was covered in countless poisonous insects. If she really hit Ling Xiao, those poisonous insects would instantly invade Ling Xiao's body and eat Ling Xiao until he was skin and bones. 3-leaf demonic pupils. Summon bronze troll. With the 3-leaf demonic pupils, he could communicate with other realms, but Ling Xiao hadn't fully grasped this ability. He hastily summoned the bronze troll just to block the 100 Insects Demon King's attack. Kaboom! It was only for a moment. The gigantic bronze ogre was struck by the 100 Insects Demon King, and it instantly decayed and disappeared. Oh my god, this is too scary. Seeing the scene, Ling Xiao could not help but suck in a breath of cold air. If it had hit him, he would have been in a worse state than the bronze trolls. Eye of the Divine Tomb, open! In the next moment, Ling Xiao opened the eye of the Divine Tomb, and the dark door to the Divine Tomb opened. A skeleton warrior drilled out from within. Perhaps it was due to the increase in Ling Xiao's cultivation and his mastery of the Shadow Profound, but the skeleton warrior's originally pale white bones had now turned golden. His body also seemed to have become stronger. His entire body was wrapped in hard armor, and he was still holding a long spear in his hand. His cold eyes flickered with a cold blue flame. Clang! The spear and the 100 Insects Demon King's hand collided once more. The skeleton warrior let out an angry roar, and the hellfire of death wrapped around its long spear. Facing the 100 Insects Demon King, he had only taken a single step back. This skeleton warrior was simply too powerful. It was also one of Ling Xiao's most important trump cards. This was because it was formed entirely from Ling Xiao's soul force. The stronger Ling Xiao's soul force was, the stronger it would be. Ling Xiao's soul force was now comparable to a 10th Grotto Heaven Realm expert. Therefore, this skeleton warrior could naturally erupt with the strength of a 10th Grotto Heaven Realm expert. But for Ling Xiao, the consumption was a little too great. He even felt a little dizzy. This was also the reason why he was not too willing to use this move. It was simply too painful. But even after using the Eye of the Divine Tomb, the battle situation was still not optimistic. After resisting for a while, the skeleton warrior was covered in insects that were constantly gushing out from the 100 Insects Demon King's body, and then its joints became unable to move. Seeing this, Ling Xiao knew that things were not good. Damn it, I might as well go all the way. Rumble. Suddenly, the huge golden crow behind Ling Xiao became even more real. The immemorial golden crow battle intent in his body also began to emerge again. Since he was going to fight, he might as well fight to the end. Ling Xiao was not afraid. He extracted another 10% of the immemorial golden crow battle intent from his body. This battle intent rose to 40%, almost reaching the halfway mark. The terrifying power was simply shocking. This guy is really crazy. The 100 Insects Demon King, who was originally in a frenzy, was really frightened by this scene. This kid did not hesitate to take such a big risk to release 40% of the Golden Crow battle intent in order to kill her. Was he really not afraid of the backlash? Ling Xiao was of course afraid. It was really risky for him to do this before he had completely transformed the Golden Crow fighting spirit into his own sword intent. But he had no other choice. If he did not do this, he would definitely be killed by the 100 Insects Demon King. This was a choice he had no choice but to make. This king does not believe that you can control 40% of the immemorial Golden Crow battle intent. The 100 Insects Demon King's eyes gradually turned cold. Ling Xiao, this guy was really strange. She really regretted not directly killing this kid back then. Now that she had fallen into such a state, it was too late for regrets. But how could she have known that Ling Xiao would be such a difficult guy to deal with? Not enough. Ling Xiao simply used another strand of the Human King's power. This left him with only one strand of the Human King's power left. But now it was necessary. To control the Golden Crow battle intent, the Human King's power was necessary. Again, another 10% of the Golden Crow battle intent was released. 50%. The whole thing was half of the immemorial Golden Crow battle intent. When this 50% battle intent was completely released, the sky where Ling Xiao was completely turned golden, and the clouds seemed to be burning, becoming bright red. Damn it, this guy is really crazy. At this time, Ling Xiao's eyes could no longer see the Taiji eye and the three-leaf demonic pupil. The skeleton warrior was thus forcibly sent back. His eyes were completely filled with golden light, as if he was about to be controlled by the immemorial Golden Crow. But regardless of whether Ling Xiao was controlled or not, the 100 Insects Demon King chose to retreat. Between heaven and earth, there was a completely destructive intent. The blazing temperature roasted the poisonous insects on her body to death. Madman, this king will definitely take revenge. The 100 Insects Demon King finally couldn't resist the terrifying pressure and turned to flee. Ah! Ling Xiao suddenly let out a painful cry. Golden light shot out from his 7 apertures, as if he could explode at any time. Ling Xiao, are you okay? The silver moon greedy wolf looked at Ling Xiao anxiously. It was very clear that although the 100 Insects Demon King was scared away, Ling Xiao's current situation was very bad. 50% of the immemorial Golden Crow battle intent was not something he could control at the moment. His soul power was very strong, but the immemorial Golden Crow was an immemorial vicious beast. That fierce battle intent was enough to suppress his soul. At this time, Ling Xiao's soul realm was filled with a sea of fire, crazily roasting him. Chapter 1478. Silver Moon. Take me to a place without sunlight. The darker, the better. Ling Xiao struggled to speak. Although he was being tortured, his willpower was very strong. It was like a lone city that had not fallen even though it was under constant attack. This was the steel-like willpower that his arduous cultivation journey had given him. How could he be so easily swallowed by the Golden Crow fighting spirit? How about the bottom of the sea? The silver moon greedy wolf looked around and suddenly looked at the stormy ocean beneath its feet. Yes, a Grotto Heaven realm martial artist had no problem surviving at the bottom of the sea for a few days. After all, he could already create his own Grotto Heaven realm, which was equivalent to creating a separate space. As long as it wasn't too long, the silver moon greedy wolf didn't dare to stay. It picked up Ling Xiao and dived into the stormy ocean. It found a pitch-black place a few hundred meters below the sea. There wasn't even a trace of light. The Golden Crow fighting spirit was clearly weakened and suppressed. Immemorial heavenly demon fighting spirit, come out. Ling Xiao had a very bold idea. He wanted to fight poison with poison. Since both the Golden Crow and heavenly demon fighting spirits wanted to take over his body, he would let them fight it out. This way he could reap the benefits. Of course, this idea was very risky, because there was another possibility, which was that the Golden Crow and heavenly demon fighting spirits would work together to destroy his consciousness and then fight for his body. Ling Xiao also thought of this, so he chose the safest method. That was to release the Gemini martial spirits, and then let his soul temporarily reside in the Gemini martial spirits. This way, his body would be a soulless shell. The golden crow fighting spirit and the heavenly demon fighting spirit could only fight each other and would not choose to attack him. After doing all this, Ling Xiao observed the battle between the golden crow and heavenly demon fighting spirits. Of course, he didn't dare to release too much at once. The golden crow fighting spirit was at 50%, and the heavenly demon fighting spirit was at 50% this time. This was more balanced. No matter who lost, they would become very weak. If he released too much at once, he was worried that such a battle would harm his body. This kind of compromise was naturally the best. What was that? On the Sacred Dynasty's immortal island, a group of martial artists were horrified to discover the Golden Crow's battle intent continuously expanding in the sky dozens of miles away, as well as the terrifying aura of the 100 Insects Demon King. The fiery clouds rolled, and the world seemed to be burning. Even though they were dozens of miles away, they could still feel it very clearly. Since none of them had obtained the heavenly devil fighting spirit or the golden crow fighting spirit, none of them were willing to leave easily. They were all resting on the Sacred Dynasty's immortal island. That was why they were fortunate enough to witness such a shocking scene. Golden crow fighting spirit, ancient golden crow battle intent. How could this be? Could it be that Ling Xiao had already controlled the powerful immemorial golden crow? Impossible. It's absolutely impossible. Some peerless expert must have captured Ling Xiao. Ji Ruolong looked at the fiery clouds rolling in the distance. He absolutely did not believe that this terrifying golden crow fighting spirit was under Ling Xiao's control. They were aware of Ling Xiao's strength. Although he was not weak, this golden crow fighting spirit, which was close to 50%, was not something that a Grotto Heaven realm martial artist could control. Of course, they did not know that Ling Xiao not only possessed extremely powerful soul power, but also the #1 martial soul in history, the tyrannical martial soul. Coupled with the power of the human king, he was able to temporarily suppress 50% of the golden crow fighting spirit. Although some people thought of Ling Xiao, they were unable to accept that Ling Xiao could control 50% of the golden crow fighting spirit. Who could have captured Ling Xiao? Could it be the Sea Race, or the experts of other forces? Raven Queen asked with a frown. In this battle with the 100 Insects Demon King, she had been seriously injured and had lost many experts under her command. In particular, the deaths of the 7th and 6th malignant stars had made her the most unhappy. Who knows? That kid has offended many people. The Dark God Hall and the Water God Hall both have enmity with him. Although Ancestor Ice Phoenix wanted to laugh, his injuries made it look a little ugly. This old man wants to go take a look. What about you? Although Jiruolong did not believe that Ling Xiao was controlling the golden crow fighting spirit, he was cautious and decided to go take a look. More importantly, the 100 Insects Demon King's aura was still there. The 100 Insects Demon King had killed many of his Ji family's martial artists. If there was a chance he could take revenge, let's go together. If we encounter trouble, we can look after each other. To be inconsolable suggested. The pressure that the 100 Insects Demon King gave them was too great, so none of them dared to rashly go alone. Okay. Therefore, everyone went one after another. When they had arrived, there had been thousands of people, but when they went to the place where the battle had erupted, only a few dozen people were left. All of this was because of Ling Xiao, except for Zhu Tianlin, Ancestor Everlasting Joy, and Zhou Yin. The rest of the people put their hatred on Ling Xiao. Zhu Tianlin had only brought a few martial artists from Canopy Immortal Island, and Zhou Yin had not brought a single disciple from Qingshu College. Therefore, the two of them had suffered few losses. Besides, attacking the 100 Insects Demon King was not because Ling Xiao had forced them, but because they had wanted to. For unreasonable people, Ling Xiao would naturally be regarded as the main culprit. But for the two of them, Ling Xiao was just a victim. Ji Ruolong and the others were just bullying the weak and fearing the strong. They were afraid that they were not the 100 Insects Demon King's match, so they could only put all their hatred on Ling Xiao. After all, Ling Xiao was not to be trifled with. Ancestor Everlasting Joy's way of thinking was even more special. Those martial artists from Everlasting Joy Immortal Island who had been killed by the 100 Insects Demon King were sent by the other two to monitor him. He was very happy that they were dead. Ji Ruolong, to be inconsolable, Raven Queen, and Ancestor Ice Phoenix were the most furious. They had not gained any benefits from Ling Xiao, but had lost a large number of disciples and subordinates. How could they not be angry? However, when these people arrived at the scene aggressively, the battle had already ended. On the sea, a damaged flywheel ship had not sunk, showing how tragic the battle had been. The air was filled with a strong charred smell, as if it had been burned by a raging fire. The 100 Insects Demon King has escaped, and Ling Xiao's aura has disappeared. There is still a very powerful aura that does not belong to Ling Xiao or the 100 Insects Demon King. His cultivation is probably between the 7th and 8th Grotto Heaven realm. To be inconsolable closed her eyes and sensed for a while, then said, "I suspect that this expert controlled 50% of the Golden Crow battle intent and drove the 100 Insects Demon King away, then kidnapped Ling Xiao. So, we have no way of taking revenge on that bastard Ling Xiao?" Raven Queen said fiercely. She could not tolerate the fact that Ling Xiao was still alive in this world. The thought of that guy still alive made the wounds all over her body hurt, as if countless ants were biting them. Chapter 1479. Haha, he shouldn't be dead yet, but I hope he isn't. That way, when he returns to the Divine Phoenix capital, he'll find that his family and friends have all left him. To be inconsolable smiled and said, "How about it, Ji Ruolong? Should we continue to work together this time? I heard that the Moon Maiden by Ling Xiao's side is very powerful. No problem. As long as we can kill Ling Xiao, I'm willing to pay any price." Ji Ruolong was furious that he couldn't obtain Ji Cheng's immortal sword intent. Since he couldn't find Ling Xiao, he would vent his anger on Ling Xiao's family and friends. This was also a good choice. Zhou Yun's expression didn't look good. 2 of the 5 immortal islands wanted to find trouble with Ling Xiao. If the Black Crow Empire and the Ice Phoenix ancestor joined the fray, even the Moon Maiden would be in danger. What should he do? What would the Hidden Mountain Crown Prince choose? Everyone had their own thoughts, and left one after another. The great farce of the Sacred Dynasty's immortal islands had finally come to an end. The 100 Insects Demon King's lifespan and cultivation had been greatly reduced. It would take a long time for him to recover. The Sacred Dynasty's immortal islands, the Permitha Immortal Islands, the Black Crow Empire, and the Ice Phoenix clan had also suffered heavy losses. A large number of elite disciples had been killed, and they had lost more than a little strength. Of course, the one who had suffered the most was the Black Crow Empire. Not only had the Raven Queen been seriously injured, but the 6th and 7th Fiend had also died tragically at Ling Xiao's hands. She had come for the Primordial Demon King and the Primordial Golden Crow, but ended up with nothing. One could imagine her anger. Of course, in terms of gains, the only one who had benefited from this farce was Ling Xiao. The Golden Crow battle intent, the Sky Demon battle intent, the Immortal Sword intent, the Black Fire Lotus, the Blackwater Lake, and the descendants of the Silver Moon Greedy Wolf who had once fought alongside the Human King. All of these were his gains. What he needed to do now was to convert these into his own strength. No one knew that the series of events that had occurred on the Sacred Dynasty's immortal island might become the fuse that would cause the entire Divine Phoenix continent to fall into chaos. Several days later, in the middle of the pitch-black stormy ocean, a figure sat cross-legged. His body was a little strange. The other half was as black as ink, emitting a terrifying evil aura. The other half was dazzling and emitted a powerful aura of destruction. These two completely different powers actually coexisted harmoniously in this person's body. In front of this person, a huge Tai Chi disc appeared. Within Yin, there was Yang, and within Yang, there was Yin. Yin and Yang coexisted, growing and multiplying endlessly. A huge beast was crouching near this person, its body emitting a gentle moonlight. Its eyes looked around vigilantly, as if it was protecting this person. Suddenly, the silver moon greedy wolf stood up. He stared into the distance. Over there, a dot of light was rapidly moving towards them. Ow! The silver moon greedy wolf let out a loud cry as if it was threatening the light. However, the other party didn't seem to have any intention of stopping, continuing to rush over at an extremely fast speed. Roar! The silver moon greedy wolf was enraged. It finally pounced forward and tangled with the sea beast that dared to provoke it. It definitely wouldn't allow anything to disturb Ling Xiao's cultivation. At this moment, Ling Xiao slowly opened his eyes. The Tai Chi disc in front of him had disappeared. The black and white light on his body had also disappeared. Everything had returned to normal. However, his aura was clearly much stronger than before. Who would have thought that after this farce at the Sacred Dynasty's island, I would directly fuse with half of the Golden Crow battle intent and half of the Sky Demon battle intent, pushing my cultivation to the peak of the 7th Grotto Heaven realm? He could feel that there was a powerful battle intent in his body. Ling Xiao turned his head to look. In the turbid seabed not far away, the silver moon greedy wolf was fighting with a ferocious red crystal shark. The red crystal shark got its name because of the ruby-like thing on its forehead. This ruby-like red crystal could attract prey, and the red crystal shark would take the opportunity to kill it. This time, the red crystal shark had probably smelled the scent of blood on Ling Xiao's body, which was why it had come here. The silver moon greedy wolf definitely wouldn't let it succeed, so a battle was inevitable. However, in terms of strength, the silver moon greedy wolf was actually inferior to the red crystal shark. The red crystal shark was an 8th Grotto Heaven realm Grotto Heaven beast, while the silver moon greedy wolf was only 7th Grotto Heaven realm. However, during the battle, Ling Xiao discovered that not only was the silver moon greedy wolf not at a disadvantage, but it was also toying with the red crystal shark. Speed. The silver moon greedy wolf was able to do this by relying on its extremely fast speed. When moving, the silver moon greedy wolf was like a ray of moonlight at the bottom of the sea. It was impossible to capture its body. The red crystal shark's attacks were powerful, but it couldn't do anything to the silver moon greedy wolf. What was going on? Ling Xiao was confused. Logically speaking, the silver moon greedy wolf's speed should be hindered at the bottom of the sea. Its speed definitely couldn't be as fast as on land, but in reality, this hindrance was almost completely negligible. Light. Got it. Ling Xiao suddenly had a hint of epiphany. Light was something without a physical body, so when it moved, it basically wouldn't be hindered. Its speed wouldn't change at all unless it was blocked by something physical. But martial artists were physical bodies. In the process of flying, they would definitely encounter all sorts of resistance. Friction with the air, obstruction from wind, and even obstruction from water, etc. Therefore, when flying, their speed would definitely be greatly reduced. Then, what if the martial artist's body also became incorporeal like light? Wouldn't their speed be faster? Ling Xiao read a lot of books, so he also liked to think. When a person was alone, some bold thoughts would always appear in their mind. Among martial artists, this was probably regarded as perception. There would always be some people who saw the same thing but comprehended it differently from others. They would always be a little more brilliant than others. Ling Xiao should belong to this kind of person. He could make good use of the mountain river martial soul. In the end, it couldn't be separated from his perception. But how did a person become incorporeal? Others couldn't do it, but Ling Xiao could. In the past, when he used flashlight godly traversal, he used his physical body to execute it. so the hindrance was definitely great. Because of this, in the previous battle, he actually lost to the Silver Moon Greedy Wolf in terms of speed. After that, because of his speed, he repeatedly suffered at the hands of the 100 Insects Demon King. Logically speaking, his speed should already be very fast, but Ling Xiao wasn't satisfied with this. What he wanted was unparalleled speed, so he had to be even faster. That way, he would be able to protect himself better and not be treated as a pushover. The fifth light profound, body of light. Chapter 1480. In the past, Ling Xiao had relied on body of light to avoid certain fatal attacks, but he had never thought that he could rely on body of light to increase his speed. Today, he planned to give it a try. Fourth profound meaning of light, godly light travel. With the two profound meanings superimposed, Ling Xiao's body suddenly turned into a beam of light, charging into the distance. Not like a beam of light, but a real beam of light. In the deep sea, his speed was not hindered at all, and he made a round trip in an instant. This was simply too fast. Although he could not attack in this state, being fast was enough. And if he wanted to attack, he had other methods. Understanding one, understanding all. Ling Xiao had always been a capable person who could draw inferences from one case. Through the battle with the Silver Moon Greedy Wolf, he understood that using godly light travel in the state of body of light could greatly increase his speed. Then what about using shadow step in the state of shadow body? The original shadow step could let Ling Xiao temporarily disappear from the enemy's sight, but he still existed. As long as the enemy's perception was strong enough, they could discover his existence. But now, the situation was completely different. He was no longer in human form, but a real shadow. Even if he was sensed, he was still just a shadow, and the enemy could not do anything to him. On the other hand, he could easily launch a sneak attack. After returning to his original body, Ling Xiao was filled with surprise. Although it wasn't an increase in combat strength or cultivation, this new understanding had given him a completely different combat strategy. It turned out that he had made a mistake all along. He only knew that profound meanings of the same stage could be fused into a new move. But he did not know that profound meanings of different stages could actually be superimposed. As long as they were well matched, they could even produce unexpected results. "Awoo!" the Silver Moon Greedy Wolf suddenly cried out. Ling Xiao turned his head and saw that the red crystal shark, because it could not attack the Silver Moon Greedy Wolf, was actually pouncing toward him. This guy also knew that the strong preyed on the weak. But was Ling Xiao really weak? The corners of his mouth curled up in a cold smile. There was still one more superposition that he had not tried. He would use this red crystal shark as an example. Ling Xiao looked at the red crystal shark. The fifth profound of light shadow, Taiji sword body. The fourth profound of light shadow evasion. Light shadow evasion itself had offensive power, but it wasn't strong enough. Its main use was the combination of light speed, godly movement, and shadow step, which allowed it to hide its tracks while moving at high speed. On the other hand, Tai Chi sword body was a move with a powerful attacking power. In that instant, Ling Xiao's body transformed into the Taiji sword body formed from the power of light and shadow, erupting with a terrifying, killing power. But it wasn't fast enough. Moreover, it wasn't hidden enough. What if the two were superimposed? Ling Xiao's lips curled into a cold smile. In the next moment, his figure suddenly disappeared. The red crystal shark that was pouncing over felt a huge threat. It actually turned around and tried to flee. "Since you're already here, why run away?" A cold voice rang out in the void. It was impossible to determine where it came from. Then, a sword light suddenly appeared in the pitch-black seabed. Coincidentally, it was in the belly of the red crystal shark. Chila! There was the sound of something being torn apart. The huge red crystal shark's body was cut in half, and its blood dyed the sea red. There was a price to pay for attacking him. It didn't matter if it was a warrior or a beast. Although the red crystal shark was an 8th Grotto Heaven Realm beast, Ling Xiao's cultivation had already reached the 7th Grotto Heaven realm. It was relatively easy for him to defeat an existence that was a level higher than him. After all, whether it was inner strength, physical strength, moves, or combat skills, he was much stronger than his opponent. Woo woo! The silver moon greedy wolf ran over and excitedly circled Ling Xiao a few times. It knew that Ling Xiao's speed was fast, but it had never seen a speed like today. In just a few days, this young man had surpassed it right under its nose. This made it, a primordial beast, feel very embarrassed. Silver Moon, don't worry. This red crystal shark's corpse should be able to help you reach the 8th Grotto Heaven realm. I'll help you. Since they had already gone through a test of life and death, Ling Xiao had no reason to doubt the Silver Moon greedy wolf's loyalty. In a situation where he could increase its strength, he would do his best, because this way he would have another big helper. Woo woo woo! The Silver Moon greedy wolf excitedly licked Ling Xiao's hand. To it, the days under the 100 Insects Demon King were too miserable. Not only would the 100 Insects Demon King not help it increase its strength, he would even think of ways to suppress its strength. The reason was simple. That fellow was afraid that if its strength increased too quickly, it would betray her. How laughable! That old witch still didn't understand what it meant to put herself in someone else's shoes. Ling Xiao set up a refining formation around the red crystal shark's body. It was called the Star-Sucking Demon Formation. This kind of array formation could help martial artists absorb the energy of other martial artists or beasts more easily. Silver Moon, stay there obediently. Everything I'm going to do is for your own good. If you feel uncomfortable, you have to endure it. Just trust me. If you can't do it, you can give up now. I don't want to give up halfway. Ling Xiao looked at the Silver Moon greedy wolf and said very seriously, Woo woo! The Silver Moon greedy wolf nodded and quietly lay there, ready to accept Ling Xiao's ritual. It couldn't be helped. Beasts couldn't cultivate on their own, nor did they have a cultivation method. Most beasts only had 2 ways to increase their strength. One of them was that he had swallowed other beasts or eaten some heavenly materials and earthly treasures. The second was to automatically absorb the essence of the sun and moon. But no matter which method it was, the effects were too slow and the method was too primitive. Only with the help of a human alchemist and a human alchemist would the beast's cultivation speed truly increase. It had to be said that the Silver Moon greedy wolf was very lucky. It had met Ling Xiao. He was both an alchemist, and both of them were of high quality. Lying there quietly, the Silver Moon greedy wolf suddenly felt its body expanding, as if it was about to explode. It wanted to jump up and run away, but in the end, it obediently lay there and endured the pain. It had chosen to trust Ling Xiao, so it had to persevere until the end. If it gave up halfway, perhaps Ling Xiao wouldn't help it like this in the future. Fortunately, the pain only lasted for less than a quarter of an hour. In the end, the red crystal shark's corpse was only a pile of waste. The true essence had been completely absorbed by the Silver Moon greedy wolf. The light on the Silver Moon greedy wolf's body was now even brighter. It broke through? Yes, it broke through. Through spiritual communication, Ling Xiao confirmed that the Silver Moon greedy wolf had broken through and heaved a sigh of relief. He had only done that as an experiment. Chapter 1481. Let's go. I wonder how Sister Yuanu and the others are doing. Ling Xiao had always been worried. Those people had suffered such a big loss. If they couldn't find him, would they find trouble with his family and friends? They might even choose to attack the Heavenly Empire. No matter which one it was, he couldn't accept it. So now he had to go back quickly. The northern desert city of the past was already deserted. But occasionally, there would be a few passing cultivators resting here. Behind the northern desert city, the dense forest was once the best place to gather wood, fruits, and medicinal herbs that the people in the city needed. But now it was abandoned. Wild beasts and bandits would often appear here. At this moment, several figures were walking vigilantly in the forest. Their expressions were a little unsightly. Shangguan, do you think the Divine Phoenix Empire is deliberately messing with us? They actually made us come here to look for medicinal herbs? The dignified Forest Ocean City actually needs cultivators like us to get medicinal herbs? Long Chen turned his head and glanced at the cultivator beside him. This person had lost an arm, but his aura was still very strong. It's indeed a little strange. We just have to be careful. Shangguan Hong looked back at Haim, Mian Ko, Lan Yu, Dayuling, Dayaoling, and Ingwea who were following behind. They were all acquaintances, and they were all people who were close to Ling Xiao. No one would believe that there was no problem. Junior brother Ling went to the Sacred Dynasty's Immortal Island and hasn't returned yet. Could it be that he did something earth-shattering outside and angered the Ice Phoenix clan, so they treat us like this? Lan Yu frowned. It's fine if they only want us to come out and take a risk. What I'm most afraid of is that group of people working together with the Black Crow Empire to send us to our deaths like last time. That would be really dangerous. Haim, Mian Ko, participated in the last war, so she was very clear about the darkness of that war. If not for Ling Xiao, the final result of that war would have been the destruction of the northern desert city, the death of Jining, and the annihilation of the northern desert army. There was no other possibility. Flight Attendant Ming, don't jinx it. Dai Yaoling stuck out her tongue and said, Jinx? But it doesn't matter. We are Ling Xiao's friends. We won't die so easily. Haim Mian Ko smiled. Now, she had completely recovered her cultivation and even made great progress. This was all thanks to the pills that Ling Xiao had given her. All of them had achieved breakthroughs in their cultivation. Originally, they didn't plan to come out at this time. They wanted to wait until after the Dragon Phoenix selection to reveal their strength. Who would have thought that the Emperor would order 50 disciples from Phoenix Academy and 10 from Qingshu College to participate in the trial in Linhai City, saying that pirates and bandits often appeared in the vicinity. After all, they were disciples of Qingshu College. Since they were called out by Zhou Yin, they naturally had to go. As for Cold Plum, she was also assigned a task alone. Except for Feng Minglian, almost all of the people who were related to Ling Xiao were sent out of Qingshu College. No one would believe that nothing would happen here. Be careful. Hide to the sides. Just as the few of them were moving forward, Long Chen suddenly shouted. As a member of the Dragon Clan, his perception was very strong. Other than Ling Xiao, he was probably the one with the most terrifying perception. As soon as he gave the order, the rest of the people dodged to the sides. Almost as soon as they dodged, a huge rock smashed into the place where they were standing just now. Who are you? Come out. What kind of ability are you sneaking around? Long Chen roared angrily. His voice was filled with powerful dragon power. Even if the other party refused to come out, they would probably be sent flying out. Smack! A person fell directly from the tree. Then there were 2, 3, 4. As many as dozens of people came out of the jungle, other than some of the Celestial Realm martial artists. There were 5 Grotto Heaven Realm martial artists. The strongest one was a 5th Grotto Heaven Realm martial artist. The weakest one was at the 9th heaven of the Celestial Realm. As soon as one of them came out, he pounced on the weakest Dai Yuling and Dai Yaoling. The 2 of them had just broken through to the Grotto Heaven Realm and were only at the 1st Grotto Heaven Realm. The one who pounced on them was a 3rd Grotto Heaven Realm martial artist. He had 2 strange scimitars in his hands, which exuded a cold, killing intent. I'll do it. Flight Attendant Ming, you and Shang Guanhong will be in charge of commanding. Long Chen knew very well that he was the strongest person here, and commanding wasn't his strong suit, so he could just leave the battle to him. Be careful. After cultivating together in Qingshu College for so long, everyone was very clear about Long Chen's strength. Among them, other than Cold Plum and Ling Xiao, Long Chen was the strongest. Not only was his physique frighteningly strong, but his talent was also terrifying. Therefore, Haim Miankeo only gave a warning and gave up on attacking. Instead, she looked at the people around them. A martial artist from the Black Crow Empire? Haim Miankeo frowned. She had a bad premonition, and her crow's beak was spot on. Roar! Long Chin let out a beast-like roar. Then, without using any moves, he threw a punch at the martial artist holding the scimitar. Seeing that the situation was bad, the martial artist hurriedly swung his scimitar to block. Boom! An extremely terrifying force instantly invaded his entire body. Then he felt as if his internal organs had been smashed. His body flew out limply and fell to the ground, motionless, dead. The surrounding martial artists from the Black Crow Empire felt a trace of fear. Everyone said that Ling Xiao was terrifying. This friend of Ling Xiao's was not to be trifled with. A martial artist at the third Grotto Heaven realm was actually smashed to death by a single punch. This was too amazing. Everyone calm down. I'll deal with him. You guys wait for an opportunity to kill the others. We have dozens of people. We're not afraid that we can't kill these guys. The leading martial artist at the fifth Grotto Heaven realm spoke. Only then did the rest of the martial artists calm down. Deal with me? Can you deal with me? At this time, Haim Miankeo had already formed a battle formation with the rest of the people. She, Shang Guanhong, and Lan Yu, who were relatively stronger, stood outside. Dai Yaoling and Dai Yuling were in the middle to assist. Ying Wuya disappeared into the darkness and was in charge of sneak attacks. Long Chin was at the forefront of the battle formation. He looked at the leading martial artist with a domineering aura and revealed a cruel sneer. That expression was exactly like Ling Xiao's. This brat regarded Ling Xiao as an idol, so he imitated Ling Xiao's every move. Although it was impossible to be exactly the same, that kind of domineering aura should be there. After all, no matter what, he was the descendant of the Golden Dragon. The domineering aura of the Dragon clan was genuine. Now, tell me who you are and scram. Perhaps you can still keep your lives. Otherwise, all of you will die. Long Chen's voice was domineering, as expected of Ling Xiao's friend. You're as arrogant and rude as that guy. The leading martial artist from the Black Crow Empire laughed coldly. Chapter 1482. The leader looked at Long Chin coldly and slowly said, However, the heavens are benevolent and our queen cherishes talents. If you agree to sever ties with Ling Xiao and join the Black Crow Empire, you will all be valued. I can guarantee that each and every one of you will be valued, and your lives will definitely be better than now. I see. Looks like you were taught a lesson by my big brother Ling, so you came to vent your anger on us, right? Long Chin sneered disdainfully and said, I can answer you right now. You want us to sever ties with Big Brother Ling? Don't even think about it. Good brothers are for life. Not to mention that you don't have the ability to kill us. Even if you do, we can't do something like betraying our brothers. Yes, the others all had determined gazes. Even Ying Wuya had the same thought. No matter what grudges he had with Ling Xiao, after coming to the Divine Phoenix Empire, Ling Xiao had treated him well. He was a person who knew how to repay kindness. Even if he had to leave Ling Xiao's side, it would be when Ling Xiao was not in danger and he would go out to explore alone. Now that Ling Xiao was in trouble, if he betrayed him, would he still be human? He would probably not even be as good as a few girls. Stubborn things, the leader said coldly. The leading martial artist said coldly, Do you really think Ling Xiao still has a chance to live? This time he caused a huge ruckus at the Sacred Dynasty Immortal Island and offended the Sacred Dynasty Immortal Island, Permitha Immortal Island, Black Crow Empire, and Ancestor Ice Phoenix. Even your Qingshu College's Dean Zhou Yun doesn't dare to protect him. Right, I almost forgot to tell you. That Moon Lady is probably surrounded by the Sacred Dynasty Immortal Island's Island Master, Permitha Immortal Island's Island Master, Raven Queen, Ancestor Ice Phoenix, Peacock Race's Patriarch, Great Rock Race's Patriarch, and Righteous Alliance's Alliance Master. No matter how strong she is, can she fight against so many people? And Cold Plum, if there are no accidents, she will definitely die at the hands of the Righteous Hall's experts. Everyone related to Ling Xiao must die. What? Hearing this, everyone could not help being surprised. Who would have thought that the other party would be so ruthless this time? Are you guys ready? Long Chen suddenly raised his head and looked at the people in front of him. A furious aura erupted from his body. Prepare for what? The leading Black Crow Empire martial practitioner did not understand the meaning behind Long Chen's words. Prepare to die. Long Chen did not turn around. He only shouted to the people behind him, "Pay attention to healing and support. I alone am enough to deal with these people. Save your strength. There will probably be more trouble later." Ha ha ha, that kid is crazy. That's right. Although he killed a third Grotto Heaven Realm cultivator, it's rare to see someone so arrogant. Since he wants to die so much, I'll kill him first. The leading warrior from the Black Crow Empire was furious. He had never been looked down upon like this before. A young man who looked like he was not even 17 years old dared to look down on him. He was really angry. Kill. A group of people rushed forward. A crazy killing intent rose on Long Chen's face. His body began to grow rapidly. Golden dragon form. He had not done this for a long time, because Big Brother Ling had said not to reveal his identity as a dragon easily. But today he had no choice but to do so, because he was furious. There was actually someone so vicious that wanted to kill all of Ling Xiao's friends and family when Ling Xiao was not around. If he did not vent his anger, he would go crazy. Shang Guanhong, Hai Myung Ko, and the others were also seeing Long Chen in this form for the first time. They could not help but be stunned. Roar! The huge dragon's roar rang out in the dense forest. Then there was a series of horrifying screams. The leading warrior from the Black Crow Empire, who was at the 5th Grotto Heaven Realm, was slapped to death on the ground by Long Chen's claw. The battle ended in less than 10 minutes. All that was left was a ground full of corpses. Let's go! Long Chen, who had returned to his human form, was panting slightly. However, he did not use much energy. With his strength, other than the 5th Grotto Heaven Realm warrior, who was more difficult to deal with, the others were not a problem at all. Therefore, he took advantage of the moment when the other party was stunned to launch an attack and slapped him to death. The others naturally collapsed. Where are we going? Shang Guanhong asked. Naturally, we're going to Lin Hai City to ask about it. We can't help with the Moon Lady, but Cold Plum was also in Lin Hai City previously and was given a special mission. Those guys in Lin Hai City definitely know about it. Long Chen replied, That's right. Haim, Myung Ko also nodded and said, But all of you should think about it carefully. This trip to Lin Hai City might not be able to return. Our lives were given by Ling Xiao. If we can't even protect Ling Xiao's woman, then we might as well quit. Shang Guanhong smiled. His life was given by Ling Xiao. Even his junior sister was saved by Ling Xiao. He, Shang Guanhong, had already given his life to Ling Xiao. As for the others, there was nothing much to say. They were all warriors who came from the Sky Dragon continent with Ling Xiao, so their relationship was deeper. If that's the case, then let's go. The group quickened their pace and soon arrived outside Lin Hai City's gate. Lin Hai City was a new city built by the Divine Phoenix Empire in the northern region. Its scale was much larger than Northern Desert City, and its main purpose was naturally to safeguard the safety of the northern region. The current city lord of Lin Hai City was a capable general under the Emperor Phoenix, Cry Infinity. He was also one of the Divine Phoenix Empire's divine generals, the Black Fist Divine General. The Black Fist Divine General was from the Ice Phoenix clan. When he was born, his skin was dark. It was said that when he stood in a dark room, Even his facial features could not be seen clearly. His teeth were very white. He had a majestic figure, and his combat strength was off the charts. Among the Divine Phoenix Empire's divine generals, his ranking was relatively high. At this moment, the Black Fist Divine General was standing on the city wall, looking down at Long Chin and the others with a cold gaze. That bunch of trash from the Black Crow Empire can't even take care of a few little kids. Archers, get ready. He waved his hand, and the city walls were immediately filled with archers. All of them aimed their arrows with inscriptions at Long Chin and the others who were below the city. Not good. Let's retreat further away. Long Chin frowned. The other party's arrows were all strengthened by arrays and were extremely powerful. Standing here, it was an arduous and unrewarding task. Everyone retreated. It's too late, shoot them. The Black Fist Divine General sneered and lowered his raised arm. Then a dense swarm of arrows flew towards Long Chin and the others like locusts. Damn it, I'll block the attack. You guys retreat first. Where there's life, there's hope. We'll wait for Ling Xiao to return before we make a decision. Shang Guanhong roared and leaped into the air. A rainbow appeared in front of him, and the densely packed arrows collided with it, making crackling sounds. Dark red blood flowed from the corner of Shang Guanhong's mouth. There were too many arrows and they were too powerful. He could block them for a while, but he could not block them forever. He turned around and looked at the backs of Long Chin and the others. He smiled. He smiled with relief. Chapter 1483. Brother Ling, if I die here today, I'll be able to return the favor. It's a pity that I won't be able to fight alongside you in the future. Shang Guanhong smiled sadly. He knew that he would soon be shot into a porcupine and then die tragically here. Although he felt a little displeased, he didn't regret it. Shang Guan, I'll help you. Shang Guanhong, who was already prepared to accept death, smiled with relief. However, at this moment, Long Chen's voice sounded by his ear. Damn brat, what are you doing here? Get lost. Shang Guanhong cursed. Hee, I can't let you die like this, or Brother Ling will scold me to death. Long Chin chuckled and opened his mouth to roar angrily. The dragon's roar reverberated through the clouds, and those arrows actually shattered in the air. Added with the obstruction of the rainbow, they completely fell to the ground. Let's go. Long Chin called out to Shang Guanhong and then turned to flee. Since they couldn't enter the city, they had to think of another way. Want to run? On the city tower, the Black Fist Godly General revealed a sinister smile. He took out his bow and then fully pulled the bowstring and shot at the two of them. The two arrows shot out at the same time, and their power was much greater than those of the crossbowmen. Oh no! Shang Guanhong sensed that something was wrong and hurriedly pushed Long Chin away. Meanwhile, he turned around and used all his strength to block these two terrifying arrows. Hee, you're quite loyal, but unfortunately, can you block this godly general's arrows? The Black Fist Godly General laughed coldly and then gave another order. Open the city gates, cavalry attack. We must kill all those traitors. Pum! The two arrows almost hit Shang Guanhong's rainbow bridge at the same time. In that instant, Shang Guanhong felt as if the world had been turned upside down, as if his whole body was about to be shattered by this terrifying power. No, I can't block it. Damn it, Long Chin, hurry up and run and find Ling Xiao. If I die today, avenge me, and take good care of my junior sister. Ah! An angry roar came out of Shang Guanhong's mouth. He used all his strength and released all his power. Although his body was still constantly retreating, he still couldn't let those two arrows pass through his defense. Oh, I'm a little surprised, but can you block it once? Can you block it twice? The Black Fist Divine General never expected Shang Guanhong to be able to block his sure-kill strike. However, he quickly drew his bow again and shot 3 arrows at the same time. They headed for Shang Guanhong's upper, middle, and lower paths, respectively. F***CK. Looks like I'm really going to die here today. What a coward. Shang Guanhong cursed. He actually died at the hands of his own people. This feeling was really vexing. Even if he were to die on the battlefield, he would not feel so aggrieved. Why are you in such a hurry? I haven't had enough of being your brother yet. Suddenly, a voice rang out in the sky. Everyone was shocked. The cavalrymen who rushed out of the city gate were also stunned. Bang! At that moment, a blade of light that resembled moonlight descended from the sky, striking away Divine General Black Fist's 3 arrows. Then a man and a beast appeared in the sky. It was a huge silver wolf that emitted gentle moonlight. Its eyes were filled with indifference and arrogance, and on its back sat a person. It was a young man who looked very young. Although he had sharp edges, he had the mellowness of a young man. A faint smile appeared on his face. This smile was naturally directed at Shang Guanhong. Ling Xiao. Shang Guanhong was so excited that his entire body was trembling. He flung away the 2 arrows and roared at the sky. Ling Xiao. He's Ling Xiao? This name was simply too famous in the Divine Phoenix Empire, especially in the army. There was almost no one who did not know of him. Back then, he defeated more than 1 million enemies as the weak. Even now, no one had been able to surpass him. Many soldiers even idolized him and worshipped him. Ling Xiao, you traitor, you actually dare to appear. On the city gate tower, the Black Fist Divine General looked coldly at the majestic young man in the sky. He looked a little nervous, but more than that, he was angry and displeased. This Ling Xiao had snatched away all the glory that belonged to him the moment he appeared. Ha ha, Shang Guanhong, do you want to leave me to die? That won't do. I haven't become good brothers with you yet. It had to be said that Ling Xiao's relationship with Shang Guanhong had deepened. The reason why he did not kill Shang Guanhong back then was because he appreciated his talent. Later, Shang Guanhong became enemies with the 3 phoenixes because of him. This could be considered as him treating Shang Guanhong as a friend. And this time, Shang Guanhong was actually willing to die for his friend. He had set his mind on this brother. That's great. Brother Ling, you're finally back. We thought something had happened to you. Long Chen's expression changed from incomparable sadness to extreme excitement. With Ling Xiao's appearance, all of them had a backbone. Haim, Mian Ko, Lan Yu, Dai Yuling, Dai Yaoling, and Ingwea all walked over to greet Ling Xiao. Let's not catch up for now. Ling Xiao smiled. Then his expression suddenly turned cold as he looked in the direction of Linhai City. Everyone listen up. I, Ling Xiao, am Divine Phoenix Empire's Dragon King Tian. Now, someone wants to kill my brother. Those who are not willing to wallow in the mire, do not make a move. Otherwise, I won't be merciful. Ha ha ha, Ling Xiao, oh Ling Xiao. You probably don't know. The Emperor has already removed your title of Dragon King Tian. Since a few days ago, you've already been a fugitive pursued by the Divine Phoenix Empire. And you still dare to show off in front of me. Truly ignorant. The Black Fist General laughed out loud. Oh, did Feng Ming Wuliang give any reason? Ling Xiao asked. You actually dare to call His Majesty the Emperor's name. Simply audacious. Your title was originally bestowed by the Emperor. Do you still need any reason to take it away? What a joke, the Black Fist General said in disdain. Understood. In other words, Feng Ming Wuliang treated his words like a fart. This is the first time I've seen such a disrespectful emperor. Ling Xiao opened his mouth and revealed a strange smile. Even if I'm not Dragon King Tian, I'm still a disciple of Qingshu College and a hero of the Northern Desert War. What's the reason for you to casually attack my friends? Brother Ling, don't talk nonsense with them. I don't know what's wrong with these people. They said that they want to kill everyone related to you, including Her Highness Moon Maiden and Cold Plum. Long Qin said anxiously. What? Ling Xiao originally planned to use a gentler method to solve the problem. But after hearing Long Chen's words, his expression changed completely. "Where are they?" Ling Xiao asked. "Her Highness Moon Maiden's whereabouts are mysterious. We really don't know. However, Cold Plum came to Forest Ocean City with us. Then she was given a mission alone. We don't know where she went." Haim Myung-keo replied. Chapter 1484. Looks like I can only ask them. Ling Xiao looked at Lin Haiqing and suddenly turned into a streak of light and darted over. The movement technique that he had just learned at the bottom of the stormy ocean not long ago was miraculously effective today. The Black Fist General did not have any time to react before he realized that his neck was being choked by someone's hand. It was too fast. It was like a ray of light that could not be blocked at all. There were still people near the Black Fist General who tried to save him, but a white figure flashed by, and 4 corpses were thrown to the ground. A huge silver wolf stood on top of the city gate tower, eyeing everyone covetously. Whoa, what a terrifying beast! Where did Ling Xiao get such a powerful monster? It's over. The Black Fist General is not even a match for Ling Xiao. This is bad. No one dared to resist anymore. Some of them even looked at Ling Xiao with admiration in their eyes. Although the Black Fist General was a divine general and had some military merits, he was still far from Ling Xiao. Originally, they thought that even if his military merits were not as good, the Black Fist General's strength should be able to crush Ling Xiao. But at this moment, they realized that they were wrong. Ling Xiao was too powerful. He was simply inhuman. Tell me, where is Cold Plum? Where is the Moon Lady, and who is dealing with them? Ling Xiao's expressionless eyes stared coldly at the Black Fist General as if he was looking at a corpse. The Black Fist General felt extremely humiliated and terrified. Humiliated because, as the city lord of Linhai City, he was being held hostage by a child like Ling Xiao. It was embarrassing. They were terrified because Ling Xiao's strength was simply too terrifying. This was completely different from the information he had. Could it be that this guy had become stronger in the days that he was away? "Kid, you don't dare to kill me. If you kill me, you will no longer be allowed in the Divine Phoenix Empire," the Black Fist General said coldly. "You talk too much." Crack! Ling Xiao didn't even give the Black Fist General a chance to change his mind. He broke his neck and threw him to the Silver Moon Greedy Wolf. The Silver Moon Greedy Wolf swallowed the Black Fist Divine General in one gulp. Ferocious beasts were ferocious beasts. Eating humans was a small matter. In ancient times, they had eaten all kinds of powerful things. Otherwise, why would they be called ferocious beasts? "Who is the deputy city lord?" Ling Xiao's cold voice was filled with a strong killing intent. "I am your subordinate." A man scrambled to Ling Xiao's side. "Tell me everything you know." Ling Xiao said indifferently. Yes. When the Vice City Lord saw that the Black Fist Divine General had been killed by Ling Xiao so easily, he no longer had the courage to resist. He hurriedly said, "Her Highness Moon Maiden should be trapped in the Slaying Dragon Forest." That place had many strange traps and formations, all of which had been set up by the Divine Phoenix Empire long ago, specifically to deal with powerful enemies. They used you as bait to lure the Moon Maiden over. Slaying Dragon Forest. Of course, Ling Xiao knew this place. He had heard of it when he was in Qingshu College. This time, it seemed like the Divine Phoenix Empire was going to openly declare war on him. If that was the case, then they couldn't blame him for being ruthless. "Where's Cold Plum?" Ling Xiao asked again. "She should be on her way back to the Divine Phoenix Empire. When she arrives, the Morality Court will send experts to deal with her." The Vice City Lord said again. "What's your mission?" Ling Xiao continued to ask. "Our mission is to cooperate with this plan and let the Black Crow Empire's martial artists kill your friend." Unfortunately, those martial artists from the Black Crow Empire were too useless and didn't complete the mission. No, 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 I was wrong. The vice city lord realized that he had said something wrong and hurriedly slapped his mouth. Kill all the people who attacked just now. Ling Xiao had asked clearly what he needed to ask. Next was revenge. He felt that these people dared to attack his friend because they were not afraid of him. If that was the case, he would make this fear in the divine Phoenix continent even more intense. As his voice rang out, the silver moon greedy wolf had already pounced. On the city tower, there were more than 100 people who were shooting arrows, and there were more than 300 cavalrymen who rushed out of the city gate. All of them. In just a few minutes, they became food in the silver moon greedy wolf's stomach. Ling Xiao was very angry. The consequences were very serious. Since the other party had gone to this extent and wanted to kill everyone related to Ling Xiao, in that case, why should he show mercy? Whether it was cruel or crazy, he, Ling Xiao, had never thought of being a good person. He was him. If he couldn't even protect his friends and family, what was the point of being a good person? Whoever touched his people, he would destroy them. It was such a simple principle. Although the silver moon greedy wolf was as obedient as a puppy in front of him, its essence was that of an ancient ferocious beast from head to toe, and it was incomparably powerful. Killing those Heaven Realm soldiers was really a bit of a bully, but if he did something wrong, he had to pay the price. Everyone in Lin Hai City was trembling in fear. They looked at Ling Xiao as if they were looking at a devil god. You don't have to worry. I, Ling Xiao, am not someone who kills innocent people. Ling Xiao glanced at those people indifferently and said, However, if anyone dares to inform the imperial capital, don't blame me for being impolite. Long Chin, you guys follow Silver Moon. I'll go first. Whether it's Cold Plum or Sister Moon Maiden, I can't lose them. Also, Ming Kong, please contact the Heavenly Empire. We can go ashore and use Lin Hai City as a base to nibble away at the Divine Phoenix Empire. Ling Xiao thought for a moment and said, Are we going to start? Haim Mian-Ko was a little excited. She had long known about Ling Xiao's ambition. But all this time, Ling Xiao had been holding back because the Divine Phoenix Empire had not completely fallen out with him. But it was different this time. The Divine Phoenix Empire had really pissed off Ling Xiao. With Ling Xiao's temper, it was naturally impossible for him to hold back anymore. Taking advantage of the fact that the experts of the Divine Phoenix Empire had gone to encircle the Moon Maiden, he launched a surprise attack. With the strength of Xia Li, Jining, and the old Saint Emperor of the Ji family, as well as the experts he had recruited in the past half a year, taking down this piece of land at the border of the Divine Phoenix Empire would not be a problem. Yes, let's start. Since they are heartless, don't blame me, Ling Xiao, for being unrighteous. I've been holding back for long enough. Ling Xiao said coldly. All right, leave this to me. I'll bring Lan Yu, Dai Yaoling, Dai Yuling, and Ing Wuya. It's considered a helper. Let Long Qin and Shang Guanhong follow you. Haim Mian-Ko was a very careful woman. She knew that the only people who could help Ling Xiao now were her, Long Chun, and Shang Guanhong. Lan Yu, could be of some help, but the other three were a little lacking. They would only be a burden if they followed Ling Xiao. It was better to follow her to carry out the mission. In the army, they were still considered absolute experts. All right, we'll do as you say. Ling Xiao nodded. He naturally saw through Haim Mian-Ko's thoughts. Chapter 1485. Ling Xiao agreed to Haim Mian-Ko's suggestion, then looked at the hundreds of thousands of soldiers in Forest Ocean City. To be on the safe side, I still have to control them. Otherwise, once I leave, I really don't know what these people will do. Thinking of this, he released the terrifying Sky Devil fighting intent. The hundreds of thousands of soldiers were already frightened by him. Now that they were suppressed by the Sky Devil fighting intent, they did not have the courage to resist. Good chance. Three-leaf demonic eyes. Soul catcher. The three-leaf demonic eyes in his right eye opened, and a terrifying soul power was released, engulfing the entire forest ocean city. At that moment, the hundreds of thousands of soldiers were planted with the seed of fear by Ling Xiao. To them, it was almost impossible to betray Ling Xiao, unless there was an expert to help them expel the demonic seed in their bodies. However, which expert would be so bored to do that? That was an army of close to 300,000 soldiers. What a terrifying eye! Is that the Soul Clan's three-leaf demonic eyes? Shang Guanhong asked in surprise. That's right, it's the three-leaf demonic eyes. It's just that the consumption this time is a bit too high. I've reached my limit. Ling Xiao was prepared to use Forest Ocean City as a stronghold. This Forest Ocean City was close to the sea. Not only was it bordered by the Black Crow Empire, but it was also connected to the Heavenly Empire through the sea. It was considered a very good stronghold. Next, he would not abuse his soul power. Otherwise, he would have fainted before reaching the Divine Phoenix Empire's capital. Let's go. I'm very worried about Cold Plum and Sister Moon Maiden. Ling Xiao had always thought of himself as a very calm person. But when something happened to his family, he could not calm down. Logically speaking, Moon Maiden was so powerful, and Cold Plum was not weak either. It would not be easy to kill them, but he was still worried. This was probably the so-called too much concern leads to confusion. Big Brother Ling, actually you don't have to be too anxious. Long Chen and Shang Guanhong had to ride on the Silver Moon Greedy Wolf to catch up with Ling Xiao. Seeing Ling Xiao in such a hurry, Long Chen was worried that he would be in danger if he was too anxious. That's right, Brother Ling. Her Highness the Moon Maiden is the strongest Yin-Yang realm elite I've ever seen. Moreover, she's a smart person, so she definitely won't fall for it so easily. There's also Cold Plum. She's also very strong. Moreover, don't you have an alliance with the Crown Prince of the Hidden Mountains? He probably won't just watch something happen to Cold Plum and the Moon Maiden, right? Shang Guanhong also advised, things aren't that simple. You all know that being overly concerned will only lead to chaos. If I'm overly concerned about the Moon Maiden and Cold Plum, I'm afraid that they'll be the same. If they fall into someone else's trap, it'll be truly troublesome. Ling Xiao shook his head and said, moreover, Feng Yinshan is a true politician. He'll only choose to do things that are more beneficial to him. In this situation, do you think he'll take the risk of losing everything to help me? Impossible. If he really wanted to protect you, he wouldn't have let you leave Qingshu College. Allies are just allies, not friends or brothers. Don't think too much of it. Hearing Ling Xiao's words, Shang Guanhong and Long Qin both fell silent. They had to admit that Ling Xiao was right. He had hit the nail on the head, and the two of them were a little too naive. Actually, Ling Xiao also imagined that the Liquor Demon Sword and grandfather Hongqi would help the Moon Maiden. But this wasn't reliable either. The Liquor Demon Sword had said that it would only protect him. Hongqi only wanted to protect him. If he wasn't there, those two might not help. Cold Plum was probably in more danger. The enemy knew Cold Plum's strength, so the martial artists they sent would definitely not be weaker than Cold Plum. The righteous divine guards from the morality court were probably going to appear again. Just as Ling Xiao had predicted, Cold Plum encountered a brutal attack on her way back. Although the 4/8 Grotto Heaven Divine Guards weren't as strong as Cold Plum, their combined strength was enough to give Cold Plum a headache. In addition, Cold Plum was in a hurry to save Ling Xiao, so she wasn't in the mood to continue fighting. The battle lasted for 15 minutes, but Cold Plum was already covered in injuries. Get lost. Although Cold Plum was covered in blood, the coldness and brutality in her eyes grew stronger. Her martial soul was a little special as it was a dual martial soul. One of the martial souls was the kind that would be more terrifying the angrier and the more negative her emotions were. That was a malicious spirit. A malicious spirit would go crazy when it came to taking a life. Since you're so strong, why don't you join our morality court? What's so good about following that Ling Xiao? One of the righteous divine guards said loudly. Ha, Brother Tsongshan, why are you like your father to recruit talents? But I don't think this girl is that easy to tame. Another person laughed. Brother Tsongshan, do you like her strength or her beauty? Another person laughed. Brother Tsongshan, I heard that Zhong Yu Huangquan from the Permitha Immortal Island is interested in this girl. Aren't you afraid of offending him? Who can take away the woman that Phoenix Cry Tsongshan wants? Phoenix Cry Tsongshan, the seventh son of Phoenix Cry Infinite, a righteous divine guard from the morality court, and an 8th Grotto Heaven Realm elite. It seemed that Phoenix Cry Infinite was really ruthless this time. In order to kill Cold Plum, he sent another of his sons. Was he not afraid of being wiped out? The 10th son, Phoenix Cry Yashan, was so frightened by Ling Xiao that he did not dare to leave the palace. The 9th son, Phoenix Cry Heishan, attempted to assassinate Ling Xiao, but was killed by Ling Xiao instead. The 8th son, Ling Xiao, caused havoc in Qingshu College in an attempt to deal with Ling Xiao. In the end, he was crippled by Ling Xiao. The sons of Phoenix Cry Limitless really had many misfortunes in their lives. What would happen to the 7th son? All of you must die. Cold Plum's voice suddenly became eerie and cold. She had only used her plum blossom martial soul to escape as soon as possible. But now that the battle had progressed to this point, she knew that she would not be able to leave easily without killing these 4 people. So, she released her second martial soul that she was very unwilling to use, the malicious spirit martial soul. Once this martial soul was used, her appearance would become eerie and frightening. After all, girls like to be beautiful, so Cold Plum did not like to use it. But now, she had no choice but to use it. The moment the cold aura was released, Cold Plum's body suddenly dashed out. Like a ghost, she disappeared from the sight of the 4 people. Malicious spirit demands life. Malicious spirit seizes soul. Uft. When she appeared again, the broken sword in her hand had already pierced through the chest of one of the righteous divine guards. That person's heart was completely crushed. During the time when Ling Xiao was away, Cold Plum did not stay idle. Through her continuous efforts, she was finally able to freely use the strength of the 10th Grotto Heaven Realm, although the 4 people were really strong when they joined forces. But to her who had released all of her strength, it was still nothing. Not good. This woman's strength does not match the information. Retreat quickly. In the records of the Divine Phoenix Empire and the Morality Court, Cold Plum was a 7th Grotto Heaven Realm martial artist. Chapter 1486. The information about Ling Xiao and Cold Plum in the Divine Phoenix Empire's database was all wrong. Therefore, Feng Ming Wuliang thought that sending out 4 8th Grotto Heaven Realm Divine Guards was enough. Unfortunately, this wrong information had ultimately cost his son's life in Feng Ming Tsongshan. Wiping the blood on her sword, Cold Plum's eyes were cold and angry. She didn't realize that this was a trap, didn't realize that someone wanted to kill her. Instead, she thought that it was because Ling Xiao was in danger that these people would stop her from returning to the capital. Sitting there thinking about this, Cold Plum took out a pill and threw it into her mouth. She had consumed a lot of energy in the battle just now, so she needed to recover. Who is it? Just as she swallowed the pill, a terrifying aura sped up and rushed over from afar. At first, her expression was a little ugly. After all, she had just experienced a difficult battle. If another powerful enemy came, then she really wouldn't be able to hold on. However, a moment later, her ugly expression instantly bloomed. Yes, master. Cold Plum, are you all right? Ling Xiao landed, grabbed Cold Plum's hand, and checked her pulse. Phew, I'm fine. I just used too much energy. After confirming that Cold Plum was fine, Ling Xiao let out a sigh of relief. However, Cold Plum's pretty face was a little red. Master, are you all right? Didn't they say that you were caught by the Ice Phoenix ancestor and were going to be executed? Cold Plum asked nervously. Idiot, can't you tell that it's a trap? They want to ambush you here. Ling Xiao sighed and said, let's not talk about this. Long Chen and Shang Guanhong are behind. And there's also a companion called Silver Moon and Haim Miankeo, who went to the Heavenly Empire to help me contact senior brother Wuxiang. Since Divine Phoenix Empire wants to play, then we'll play along with them. Stay here and don't move. When Long Chen and the others arrive, follow them to the Imperial capital. I'll be leaving first. Big Sister Moon Maiden is in danger. I'm worried. Understood. Lan Mei nodded in a straightforward manner. She knew that her body was not in the right condition to travel. Anyway, after Ling Xiao left, she would catch up with him after she recovered. It wasn't like she would do nothing. It's good that you're obedient. I'm leaving now. Ling Xiao's heart was burning with anxiety. He was relieved that Cold Plum was fine. However, he still didn't know whether the Moon Maiden was dead or alive. Naturally, he couldn't feel at ease. Ling Xiao leaped into the air. He was practically one with the light in the sky. If one did not have particularly good eyesight, one would not be able to see him. He couldn't even sense his aura. At the same time, many people had gathered outside the Divine Phoenix capital's dragon-slaying forest. It seemed that something big was going to happen in the Imperial capital today. The Moon Maiden had just entered the dragon-slaying forest when many experts suddenly appeared. Look, that's the island lord of the Sacred Dynasty's immortal island, Ji Ruolong. Is that for real? Why would that old man appear in the Imperial capital? Nonsense. It's definitely related to the Moon Maiden. Don't you see their stance? They're clearly going to surround and kill the Moon Maiden. That's the island lord of the Permitha immortal island, to be inconsolable, right? That's right. I had the fortune of seeing her once. And there's also the Black Crow Empire's Raven Queen. Aren't our two countries enemies? Why would she dare to come? It's true that we're enemies, but the Dragon Phoenix election is about to begin. This time, the entire Celestial Dragon Continent and Divine Phoenix Continent have formed the Dragon Phoenix Alliance to compete with the major factions of the White Tiger Continent. Naturally, they have to reconcile for the time being. No wonder. Tiske, the Ice Phoenix ancestor, the Righteous Alliance Lord, Peng Nantian of the Great Peng race, and Kong Ran of the Peacock race have all come. This lineup is far too frightening. Not even the Moon Maiden is a match for them. Take a guess. What did Ling Xiao do to provoke such trouble? Who knows? According to the rumors, the Sacred Dynasty's immortal island found a treasure, but it was snatched away by Ling Xiao. Not only that, Ling Xiao also killed Jiying of the immortal island's Ji clan, Ji Ruolong's grandson. After that, he killed the Black Crow Empire's 7th and 6th Fiend Stars. Even more frightening is that he colluded with the legendary 100 Insects Demon King and heavily injured the Ice Phoenix ancestor and the others. Fortunately, the Ice Phoenix ancestor and the Raven Queen are both top-class individuals. How could they be so easily killed by him? Now that they've recovered, they're working together to take revenge on Ling Xiao. No wonder those people at Ling Xiao's side have all been transferred out of the region. Only that Feng Minglian, because she's a princess, has been placed under house arrest in Qingshu College. The others are probably in dire straits. Haha, serves him right. Of all the people he could have offended, he had to offend these powerful figures. In the crowd, there were many people who had a grudge against Ling Xiao and were jealous of Ling Xiao. Thus, many people were actually happy to see this sort of thing happen. The Everlasting Joy ancestor, Zhu Tianlin, Zhou Yin, the Wine Demon's Sword, and Hong Qi were all in the crowd, but they did not move. It seemed that besides Hong Qi, no one else had any intention of doing anything. The first 4 people were only interested in Ling Xiao. They didn't care about the Moon Lady's life or death. Only Hong Qi felt that the Moon Maiden was his precious grandson's woman, which meant that she was his grandson-in-law. He definitely had to save her, but it would depend on the situation. Moon Maiden, you've already fallen into our trap. The array formation of the dragon-killing forest is not something you can break free from. The Ice Phoenix ancestor looked down. There, the Moon Maiden, who was dressed in snow-white clothes, was suspended in midair. The moonlight on her body was hazy, making her look like a peerless fairy. There was some anger and anxiety on her face. Now, we'll give you a chance. Die cleanly and kill yourself, lest word gets out that so many of us are ganging up on you. The Moon Maiden gently raised her head, glanced at the Ice Phoenix ancestor in the sky, and asked, "Is Ling Xiao all right?" "Ha ha ha, you're really stupid. I already said that this is just a trap. As for whether Ling Xiao is dead or not, I really don't know." The Ice Phoenix ancestor laughed. At that moment, the Moon Maiden actually smiled. Her smile was like a flower, like the beautiful moonlight in the clear sky, able to infect everyone's heart. So beautiful that it's suffocating. But she's in danger of being besieged now, and she actually smiled. Is it just because she knows that Ling Xiao is fine? Ayaya, what's so special about Ling Xiao to have such a beautiful woman so concerned about him? The crowd was completely subdued by the Moon Maiden's beauty and temperament. As a woman, she didn't have the slightest fear in the face of so many experts. Just this confidence alone was enough to make people admire her. More importantly, she actually smiled. Women who like to smile generally have good luck. The demonic liquor sword suddenly said something, and then looked into the distance. "Ling Xiao, can you make it in time?" The Moon Maiden's smile made the surrounding crowd feel suffocated. However, it made the experts in the sky very unhappy. They felt that they were despised by the Moon Maiden, and their old faces couldn't hold it together. Chapter 1487. The expressions of the powerhouses in the sky were very ugly. Facing so many of them and being trapped by the array formation, the Moon Lady was not afraid at all. Instead, she smiled. This was a slap to their faces. Their original intention was not to be entangled with the Moon Lady. After all, no one really knew how strong the Moon Lady was. They did not want to take the risk. Moreover, if they could force the Moon Lady to commit suicide, they would have achieved their goal of revenge in front of so many people. This was because they wanted this kind of deterrent effect. Ling Xiao had provoked them, so everyone around Ling Xiao had to die. Not a single one would be left alive. Of course, with so many powerhouses joining forces, no one in the divine Phoenix continent would dare to resist. Ancestor Ice Phoenix frowned and said, "Of course, you can choose not to die. You just need to take this soul loss pill. You have to think carefully. Once we attack, you will die without a complete corpse. It would be such a pity if such a great beauty's corpse were to be left in the wilderness." Soul loss pill. This ancestor Ice Phoenix is really ruthless. Rumor has it that the soul loss pill can make a person's soul completely lose its consciousness and turn a cultivator into a puppet. He clearly wants the Moon Lady's combat power. In the crowd, Ancestor Changle frowned and was a little displeased. No matter what, the Divine Phoenix Empire was still under the control of Changle's Celestial Island for the time being. Ancestor Ice Phoenix's actions really made him lose face. However, he did not say anything, because he was not the one in charge of Changle's Celestial Island now. He wanted to do it, but he was powerless. The Moon Maiden glanced at the Ice Phoenix ancestor indifferently. Then she gently brushed the hair on her temples and said indifferently, "If you want to fight, then do it. There's no need to talk so much nonsense. Are you afraid of a woman with so many of you?" Disdain. Absolutely disdainful and mocking expressions and words. The Moon Lady did not take these people seriously at all. TSK, TSK, as expected of the Heavenly Dragon Continent's guardian. Not only is the Moon Lady beautiful, but her aura is also too powerful. Humph. I'm afraid she will become a corpse later. The crowd was also divided into two factions. One faction supported killing the Moon Lady. The other faction supported the Moon Lady. Moreover, their viewpoints and attitudes were very clear. No one was willing to submit to the other. It seems that you're tired of living. Patriarch Ice Phoenix knew that it was basically impossible to make the Moon Maiden commit suicide or consume the soulless pill. He could only take action. Who wants to test the limits of this woman? She is now trapped by the dragon trapping formation. If she is no match for the enemy, she can still escape in time. Her life shouldn't be in danger. Ice Phoenix, ancestor asked, looking at the other experts. No one said a word. Their fear of the moon lady came from the bottom of their hearts. Hee, looks like you guys are really scared. A bunch of trash. You said you wanted to kill me. Are you going to kill me just like that? The Moon Maiden's gaze became even more contemptuous and disdainful. TSK. Are these still the experts who are usually so domineering? No one dares to make a move. The Moon Maiden is trapped in the dragon trapping array and can't move. Many people in the crowd were disappointed in the Yin-Yang realm experts. Kong Ran, you go. The Ice Phoenix ancestor looked at the Peacock clan's patriarch Kong Ran and said, Your Peacock clan is good at speed, and you also have life-saving skills. Today you will make a small sacrifice and let us figure out this woman's background. Then we will have more confidence in killing her later. Kong Ran frowned and cursed inwardly. F***CK, I knew it wouldn't be a good thing. This old fart actually wants me to go out and die. But then again, the Moon Maiden was trapped by the dragon trapping array. He was indeed skilled in speed and life-saving techniques. This old fart must have thought it through carefully. After being called out, Kong Ran couldn't refuse. He could only bite the bullet and say, All right, then you guys have to watch carefully. Don't waste my efforts. Old Kong, there's no need to fight. If you feel that something is wrong, retreat. If you really can't, we'll attack together. We're not afraid that we can't kill her. At this time, the experts no longer cared about their dignity. They were here to besiege the Moon Maiden. Joining forces wasn't a big deal. After all, as long as the Moon Maiden died, no one on the Sky Dragon continent and Divine Phoenix continent would dare to say anything. Don't worry, I don't want to die yet. Kong Ran smiled and slowly descended. He only stopped when he was about 100 meters away from the Moon Maiden. Your Highness, there's no enmity between us, but Ling Xiao is really despicable. If you swear that you won't protect Ling Xiao anymore, I, Kong Ran, can let you go today. In the end, Kong Ran still didn't want to fight, because he was afraid. People were always fearful of the unknown. He didn't know the Moon Maiden's strength at all. He only knew that she was a Yin-Yang realm expert. He didn't know anything else. The Moon Maiden only shook her head gently. You want me to give up, Ling Xiao? I'd rather die. Her words were very loud and clear. She said it for everyone to hear. It was as if she was warning him that whoever offended Ling Xiao would be offending her and making life difficult for her. All right, since that's the case, don't blame me. A ball of 7-colored light appeared behind Kong Ran. This was different from Shangguan Hong's rainbow martial soul. This was the Peacock race's 7-colored light. It could be used at critical moments. Then his body started to change, and he entered his human form. Although he still looked like a human, he was no different from a peacock in many places. Kill! Kong Ran's speed suddenly increased as he pounced at the Moon Maiden. His sharp claws flashed with intense cold light under the clear sky. However, when he was less than 10 meters away from the Moon Maiden, Kong Ran suddenly had a very bad feeling. Although this intuition didn't have a reason, he still chose to retreat. He quickly retreated to his original position. It's too late. The Moon Maiden's voice was as cold as the water of the underworld. The moment you attacked, you were destined to die. She didn't move, but a terrifying chill seeped into Kong Ran's body. He was a Yin-Yang realm expert, but he couldn't move because of this chill. His body started to fall to the ground. Die. At this moment, the Moon Maiden struck with her palm. Her move wasn't flashy, but it was full of pressure. Stop! In the sky, Pangnantion, the leader of the Great Rock Race, saw that the situation wasn't good. He hurriedly tried to stop her, trying to save Kong Ran from the Moon Maiden. The two of them were very close. Naturally, he couldn't sit by and do nothing. The Moon Maiden didn't seem to hear him at all. Her slender hand continued to strike at Kong Ran. Pangnantion was furious. He decided to use the strategy of attacking Wei to save Zhao. He threw a terrifying punch at the Moon Maiden's back. "I'll kill you." The Moon Maiden still didn't look at him. It was as if she had ignored him. Her palm finally landed on Kong Rant's body. At that moment, Kong Rant's body emitted dazzling moonlight. His entire body was dismembered by the moonlight. Chapter 1488. Peacock Clan Leader Kong Ran dead. The Moon Lady did not look at Pangnantion at all. He was just a moth flying into a flame. Did she really have to care? Pangnantion's punch landed on a ball of moonlight and did not touch the Moon Lady at all. However, Pangnantion was sent flying by the terrifying recoil and vomited blood. Ignorant people. Can a mere dragon trapping array trap moonlight? A strange sneer appeared on the Moon Lady's face. What? The surrounding crowd was shocked. The Moon Lady actually ignored the dragon trapping array and was fearless when facing the attacks of two Yin-Yang realm experts. She instantly killed the Peacock Clan leader, Kong Ran. She forced the Great Rock Clan leader, Pangnantion, to retreat. The Moon Lady was indeed the Moon Lady. It seemed that the rumors were not exaggerated. Instead, they had underestimated the Moon Lady. Anger, fear. The Peacock Clan and Great Rock Clan were all dumbfounded. They were here to see how their clan leader would kill the Moon Lady and avenge the Peacock and Phoenix Princes that Ling Xiao had fooled. However, what they saw was the Peacock Clan leader dying tragically and the Great Rock Clan leader being injured. They could not accept this scene. "I haven't fought for a long time. Do you think I'm afraid? To be honest, if I attack, the divine Phoenix Empire will be destroyed in an instant." The Moon Lady floated in the air and looked at the people in the sky. She said coldly, "I'm just not interested in dealing with you guys. After all, you guys are more qualified sparring partners for my adorable man. However, if you insist on seeking death, then don't blame me. No killing intent." She was still so elegant. However, the feeling she gave off was a chill that came from the bottom of their hearts. "Don't be afraid. Kong Ran and Pangnantion are only at the first level of Yin-Yang realm. It's normal that they are not her match. We don't need to talk nonsense with her. Let's join forces. If we don't kill this demoness, no one will have a good day." Ice Phoenix, Ancestor, said fiercely. "That's right. If we can't kill her, we can't kill Ling Xiao." Ji Rualong gritted his teeth. "Let's join forces. We aren't even afraid of the 100 insects, Demon King. Why would we be afraid of a mere Moon Lady?" Raven Queen added, "Agreed." To be inconsolable, she nodded. "I'll give you a hand too." A clear voice came from afar. Then, Feng Mingxiao descended in luxurious clothes. "Fourth level of the Yin-Yang stage? I didn't expect your talent to be so terrifying after cultivating wholeheartedly. Good, very good, ha 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 ha." Ancestor Ice Phoenix looked at Feng Mingxiao and couldn't help but laugh heartily. "With Xiao are joining the battle, Moon Maiden will definitely die." Feng Mingxiao's arrival brought great confidence to the experts in the sky. It was rumored that according to the laws of the Sky Dragon Continent and the Divine Phoenix Continent, it was impossible for a martial artist above the 5th level of the Yin-Yang realm to appear. Therefore, most people thought that the 5th level of the Yin-Yang realm was the peak. Therefore, no matter how strong the Moon Lady was, she was at most at the 5th level of the Yin-Yang realm. On their side, Ji Rualong, to be inconsolable, and Feng Mingxiao were all at the 4th level of the Yin-Yang realm. Ancestor Ice Phoenix and Raven Queen were at the 3rd level of the Yin-Yang realm. Pangnantion was the weakest. He was at the first level of the Yin-Yang realm and was injured. However, this didn't stop her from launching a sneak attack. Such strength was enough to suppress the Moon Lady. There was no doubt about it. The Moon Lady looked at these people expressionlessly. Her expression was solemn. The other party's judgment was right. Her cultivation could only be at the 5th level of the Yin-Yang realm due to the restriction of the laws of selection. It wasn't easy to deal with these people. It was probably impossible for her to escape unscathed. At the very least, both sides would suffer great losses. It's better to squash enmity than to keep it alive. Why don't we stop? The Dragon Phoenix election is around the corner. If the Divine Phoenix continent falls apart because of this battle, those fellows from the White Tiger continent will be the happiest. The person who stepped forward was Zhu Tianlin. His righteousness wasn't something that others could compare to. Zhu Tianlin, the island lord of Tianpeng Island? I didn't expect him to stand on the Moon Lady's side. There's no need to guess. I heard that Ling Xiao saved his daughter. He can't possibly ignore Ling Xiao's woman. That makes sense. Zhu Tianlin, how dare you stand with this demonic woman? Do you really think that no one dares to touch your Tianpeng Island? Ji Ruolong glared at him angrily. A Moon Lady and Zhu Tianlin. This was a little troublesome. I've said it before. This battle doesn't benefit anyone. Why don't we stop now? Zhu Tianlin repeated his words. There's no need to persuade him. Since he wants to die, let's send him on his way. I'll help you. Just as Ji Ruolong was about to speak, another person suddenly walked out from the crowd. He was in his 40s, but his cultivation was extremely shocking. He was actually on par with island master-level experts like Ji Ruolong and Everlasting Joy Ancestor. Dan Yunsheng, the Vice Island Lord of Chenggel's Celestial Island? Zhu Tianlin frowned. He wanted to help, but there was another person on the other side. The situation continued to worsen. This old man originally didn't plan to get involved in this matter. But since you've made a move, this old man will also get involved. Ling Xiao once saved this old man's life. This old man can't just sit by and watch his woman. Amidst the laughter, Patriarch Everlasting Joy stepped forward as well. This action of his was clearly competing with Dan Yunsheng. Very well. Dan Yunsheng smiled. He seemed to be thinking about how to kill Ancestor Chengel through this battle. In that case, Chenggel's Celestial Island would be his. Darkfane Hall get involved. The matter was far from over. The people from Darkfane Hall also came. A gold-ranked assassin from the 5 Poison Hall of the Darkfane Hall, a Yin-Yang Realm 3rd level expert. The Water Spirit Hall also has a grudge against Ling Xiao. Back in the City of Sin, Ling Xiao had offended the Water Spirit Hall. Although the Water Spirit Hall hadn't done anything, they wouldn't miss the chance to beat him while he was down. The Water Spirit Hall sent a 2nd level Yin-Yang Realm Divine envoy. Let's settle our grudges today. Another person appeared. It was the Yin-Yang Demon King, the Divine Phoenix Empire's Imperial Advisor. He was at the 5th level of the Yin-Yang realm, the same as Moon Maiden. Although he wasn't as strong as Moon Maiden, they had more people on their side. The Yin-Yang Demon King was really good at finding opportunities. He knew that as long as he killed Moon Maiden, Ling Xiao would definitely die. Once Ling Xiao died, the Heavenly Dynasty Empire would be leaderless. At that time, it would be easy for the True Demons Empire to attack the Heavenly Dragon continent again. With the Imperial Advisor involved, this witch will definitely die. Ancestor Ice Phoenix was finally certain. He knew how powerful the Yin-Yang Demon King was. In today's battle, not only did they have more people, but their overall strength was also very strong. Fortunately, that fellow Ling Xiao had offended so many people and had assisted them. Moon Maiden, Zhu Tianlin, and Ancestor Chengel didn't look too good. There were many enemies, and they were strong. Today's battle pointed to disaster. Chapter 1489. Heavens, fortunately, there's a formation in the dragon-killing forest. Otherwise, if these Yin-Yang realm experts fought here, they would probably blow up the imperial capital. It's not just blowing up the imperial capital. I think the sky is going to be pierced through. The crowd was now both excited and afraid. A mere Ling Xiao could actually make these experts, who they normally wouldn't even see, gather together. This was really surprising. Oh, he's back. The wine demon soared in the crowd, suddenly smiled. He said that if Ling Xiao didn't come back, he wouldn't make a move. Because if he helped Ling Xiao, he needed Ling Xiao to help him. It was a deal, so he had to let Ling Xiao see it. Amidst the laughter, the wine demon sword also walked out of the crowd, holding a wine gourd in one hand and a black, long sword in the other. Haha, I'm going to participate in today's excitement. Who are you? Ancestor Ice Phoenix frowned and asked. Who I am is not important. What's important is that you guys are bullying a woman. I can't stand it. Moreover, I have a great enmity with your imperial family. These words had already expressed his attitude. He was on the Moon Maiden's side. The wine demon sword. He's the wine demon sword. Why is this lunatic entangled with Ling Xiao? The wine demon sword? Ancestor Ice Phoenix knew this name, although no one could remember this person's name. This person's name resounded throughout the divine Phoenix continent. Back then, this guy was as troublesome as Ling Xiao. His talent was also terrifying. As for his cultivation, it was more troublesome than Ling Xiao's. So what if you're here? You're still not our match. I advise you not to be too impulsive. Otherwise, if you die here, you'll never be able to accomplish what you want to accomplish. Ancestor Ice Phoenix seemed to know the wine demon sword's purpose and sneered. You don't need to worry. Someone will complete it for me. Moreover, it's not certain who will die today. The wine demon sword chuckled. Ha ha ha, well said. You've all made a move. If this old man were to stand aside and watch the show, it would be inexcusable. Hongqi laughed and walked to the Moon Maiden's side. Little girl, your man, my grandson, is not bad, right? The enemies he offended are very strong, and the friends he made are not bad. The Moon Maiden smiled. She was still very shy in front of her grandfather. Damn it, they're coming out one after another. How did Ling Xiao get so many helpers? It had to be said that Ancestor Ice Phoenix and the others felt as uncomfortable as if they had eaten a fly. They had thought that as long as they killed the Moon Lady, they could do whatever they wanted to Ling Xiao. But before the Moon Lady could be killed, the traitors jumped out one after another. The most frightening thing was that these people were not weak at all. Ah! Suddenly, a scream came from afar. Then, everyone saw a figure fly over and fall to the ground. After struggling for a while, it died. Isn't this the general guarding the city gate? Who would be so bold as to kill him? Ancestor Ice Phoenix asked in surprise. Old man, it was your grandfather who did it. Before he even arrived, his voice had already arrived. With a killing intent that covered the sky and covered the earth, Ling Xiao appeared in the divine Phoenix capital. This guy, he actually dares to come back. Everyone looked at the domineering Ling Xiao and couldn't help but be surprised. He knew that the divine Phoenix capital would be in danger, but he still dared to enter this dangerous battle. This person was either crazy or extremely confident. Impossible. Why aren't you dead? Ji Ruolong thought that Ling Xiao was held hostage by some expert and would die outside sooner or later. But now that he saw Ling Xiao return, his surprise was indescribable. It's best that he's not dead. This way, I can take revenge on him again. The Raven Queen, however, was excited. Killing the Moon Maiden wasn't enough. She wanted to kill Ling Xiao with her own hands. Little man, you're finally back. Otherwise, I would have been killed by this group of bad guys. The Moon Maiden smiled, revealing a smile that could make anything in the world pale in comparison. Many people were instantly stunned. Hong Chi shook his head and smiled bitterly. You were killed, but others were killed by you. Sister Moon Maiden, don't worry. I'll remember who attacked you. I, Ling Xiao, am a very good bookkeeper. Every debt has to be settled properly. Ling Xiao smiled, although he didn't seem to have changed much, and it was impossible to tell what level his cultivation had reached. This confidence and that astonishing speed just now was enough to tell. No one dared to underestimate him. This Ling Xiao doesn't take those experts seriously. After all, he's just a Grotto Heaven Realm warrior. I guess he's only at the 3rd or 4th Grotto Heaven Realm. How dare he be arrogant in front of a Yin Yang Realm warrior? The crowd looked at Ling Xiao and couldn't help but shake their heads secretly. However, they were already used to Ling Xiao's arrogance, so they were actually looking forward to it. What kind of surprise would Ling Xiao bring them today? Vile spawn, it's good that you're back. Kneel down now, and we won't attack the Moon Maiden. You should know very well that no matter how talented you are, you still have no chance of winning against Yin Yang Realm Warrior. Ancestor Ice Phoenix looked coldly at Ling Xiao and said. Ling Xiao raised his head and didn't seem to hear Ancestor Ice Phoenix's words. Instead, he muttered to himself, Black Crow Empire, Ice Phoenix Race, Peacock Race, Rock Race, Dark God Hall, Water God Hall, Sea Race, Sacred Dynasty Immortal Island, Opposite Shore Immortal Island. Not bad. Is there still Changle Immortal Island? Sigh, little brotherling, don't blame me. It's all because of my incompetence. I was framed by a scoundrel and caused Changle Immortal Island to follow the 2 Vice Island Masters to mess around. I hope you can hand them over to me to deal with. Ancestor Changle Immortal Island sighed. All right, I'll hand them over to you. Ling Xiao said casually. This guy is crazy. What does he mean? Does he want to destroy all those forces? Someone in the crowd said with a trembling voice, because this conjecture was too bold and too unbelievable, not to mention whether Ling Xiao had the ability to do so. Even if he did, it was too unwise to directly become enemies with those forces. If it's someone else, it's impossible. But if it's Ling Xiao, I think there's a 99% chance that he'll really do that. The person next to him shook his head and sighed. Anyway, they've already killed their way to our door. It doesn't make a difference whether we're enemies openly or secretly. Today's battle will be a life and death situation. Ah, Sister Moon Maiden, I don't seem to be a match for those people. Can I trouble you to restrain them first? I'll go and destroy their clansmen. Pfft, I can't believe you said that. But, little man, there are still many experts among those families and forces. Can you deal with them? Moon Maiden couldn't help but laugh. Chapter 1490. Little man, those warriors aren't weak. Can you beat them? Moon Maiden asked with a smile. As long as they aren't Yin Yang Realm warriors, I should be able to. Ling Xiao grinned and suddenly looked at Ancestor Ice Phoenix and the others. You want to kill everyone around me, so don't blame me for giving you a taste of your own medicine. What arrogance! I'd like to see how you, Ling Xiao, will destroy our Peacock Race today, and our Rock Race. The Peacock Race and Rock Race warriors had already gathered near Killing Dragon Forest. Among them, there were more than 1,000 Heaven Realm warriors. There were more than 100 Grotto Heaven Realm warriors. There were even 2 9th Grotto Heaven Realm warriors. How could Ling Xiao be their match? Oh, since you're here, then none of you should go back. Cold Plum, Long Chin, Shangguan Hong, Silver Moon, help me guard the escape route. Don't let these people escape. Ling Xiao looked into the distance and saw several figures approaching. Although Cold Plum and the others weren't as fast as Ling Xiao, they weren't slow either. When Ling Xiao arrived, they had also arrived quickly. Understood. Understood. Yes. Awoo. For voices sounded at the same time. Then, for warriors blocked 4 directions. What's going on? None of those guys are dead. Also, what's with that beast? Ancestor Ice Phoenix, knew about the plan to kill Ling Xiao. He couldn't accept that Long Qin and the others weren't dead and even had a ferocious-looking beast with them. Didn't this mean that his entire plan had failed? Peacock Race and Rock Race, listen up. One of your patriarchs was killed and the other was injured. Now, your enemy is right in front of you. What should you do? One had to admit that Ancestor Ice Phoenix was very good at fanning the flames. Kill. Very good. You only need to deal with Ling Xiao and those people. Leave the Yin-Yang realm warriors to us. Ancestor Ice Phoenix felt that her plan was perfect. They held back the Moon Lady and the others. Let the other experts kill Ling Xiao. With Ling Xiao's death, the Moon Lady's mind would definitely be in chaos. Zhu Tianlin, Everlasting Joy, and the Wine Demon Sword had no reason to help. This way, the scales of victory would completely tilt towards them. The crowd also felt that Ling Xiao was too crazy and arrogant. What kind of joke was this? He actually planned to fight against the many experts of the Peacock Race and the Great Rock Race by himself. Did he think he was a Yin-Yang realm expert? What is this kid's cultivation level? How dare he be so arrogant? Zhu Tianlin said with a frown. Who knows? But he never does anything he can't do. The Moon Maiden smiled. She had complete and unconditional trust in Ling Xiao. Since Ling Xiao had said so, he must be confident. Even if he was facing thousands of Celestial Realm warriors and hundreds of Grotto Heaven Realm warriors, he was not afraid at all. Since that's the case, we just have to stop these Yin-Yang realm fellows from disturbing him, right? The Wine Demon Sword smiled. His figure flashed and blocked the path leading to the outside of the Killing Dragon Forest. If anyone wanted to pass through here, they had to defeat him first. Haha, since you all said so, it seems that my worries are groundless. Zhu Tianlin still did not figure out Ling Xiao's cultivation level and strength. However, since the Moon Maiden and the Wine Demon Sword trusted this young man so much, there was no need for him to worry. He also wanted to see how strong Ling Xiao was and how big of a surprise he could bring him. Hey, it can't be. Ling Xiao really plans to face more than 1,000 warriors alone? In the crowd, many disciples of Qingshu College became nervous. Although Dean Zhouyin had given the order to prohibit the disciples from helping, they were still on Ling Xiao's side in their hearts. This was not a joke, not to mention the other warriors. Just the 2 9th Grotto Heaven Realm experts were enough to kill Ling Xiao. What kind of anger was this for a beauty? It was simply crazy. They admired Ling Xiao, but they were also worried about him. However, according to the usual situation, Ling Xiao was not the kind of person who would speak out rashly. Since he had said so, he would definitely do so. If Ling Xiao destroyed the Peacock tribe and the Rock tribe in front of so many experts, it would be a shocking scene. However, other than the disciples of Qingshu College, the rest of the warriors did not think highly of Ling Xiao. This guy must be crazy. It's not wrong to want to perform in front of his woman, but he has to see if he has the ability to do so. That's right. Even the top few Huangzi wouldn't dare to be so presumptuous. I really hope to see this guy covered in injuries and then crying in a woman's arms. Just thinking about it makes me excited. Among the crowd, Zhong Yu's spider lilies had always been there. She hated Ling Xiao to the core, so as long as she could see Ling Xiao make a fool of himself, she would be happy. The 2 9th Grotto Heaven Realm experts from the Peacock tribe and the Rock tribe were the strongest warriors in the tribe besides the Yin-Yang realm. Their expressions were not very good. Ling Xiao, this fellow, really looked down on people too much. He was facing 1,000 people alone and was still so confident. Did he really think that he was cutting grass? This was definitely an insult to them. Did he think that they were all good-for-nothings? Ling Xiao, I'm Kongwu, an elder of the Peacock tribe. If you kneel down and admit your mistake today, I can still spare your life. Otherwise, I'll capture you alive and tie you to the capital city's execution platform. I'll let our clansmen cut you into pieces and make you suffer so much that you'll wish you were dead. The elder of the Peacock tribe, Kong Wu, looked coldly at Ling Xiao and shouted, "Elder, aren't you being too merciful? This guy has already humiliated our Peacock clan. Moreover, his woman killed our patriarch. If we don't take revenge for this, how are we going to face our fellow Peacock clan members? That's right. Let me kill that guy. Let me go." The crowd was really agitated. The warriors of the Peacock tribe had witnessed Kong Ran being killed by the Moon Lady with their own eyes. However, they did not dare to deal with the Moon Lady because they were no match for her. Now that Ling Xiao was courting death, what was there to hesitate about? Killing Ling Xiao would also make the Moon Lady feel bitter and hateful. This was the best way to satisfy them. Moreover, this was an excellent opportunity. The Moon Lady and the others were surrounded by so many Yin-Yang realm experts. They definitely could not free themselves to help Ling Xiao. "You still want to cut me into pieces?" Ling Xiao sneered disdainfully and said, "You really don't know anything about strength." Triple Leaf Magic Pupil. Summon Bronze Giant Demon. As Ling Xiao's right eye opened the Triple Leaf Magic Pupil, something suddenly fell from the sky as if it was a meteor. Boom! A loud explosion sounded. The tall bronze giant demon landed in the crowd. In an instant, it trampled dozens of warriors of the Peacock tribe and the Rock tribe to death. "Bastard! What kind of monster is this? Who cares what it is? Destroy it!" Chapter 1491. Kong Wu, you guys are in charge of killing Ling Xiao. Leave that bronze monster to our Great Rock clan. No problem. The Peacock clan and Great Rock clan martial artists chose to divide the work. No one felt that there was anything wrong with this. Some martial artists even felt that Kong Wu alone was enough to kill Ling Xiao. There was no need to mobilize so many people at all. Let's start with the Deva realm martial artists. The corners of Ling Xiao's mouth curled into a sneer. Of course, he had to pick on the weak. This way, he could make the other party suffer more. He did not have the slightest bit of guilt or sympathy. These people clamored to kill him, and actually wanted to kill everyone around him. If he sympathized with these people, wouldn't he be an idiot? Golden Crow ascending the sun. Ice's fury unsheathed. Ling Xiao swung out a sword, and a massive golden crow pounced on the crowd. Those Deva realm martial artists had not yet understood what was going on when they were already wrapped in raging flames one by one, then turned to ashes amidst shrill screams. "Ling Xiao, what kind of ability is bullying the weak? Fight me one-on-one if you have the ability." Kong Wu watched until his eyeballs almost popped out, furious to the extreme. Those Deva realm martial artists were the future hope of the Peacock clan. Gone just like that? More than 100 people died in an instant. How would he explain this to the clan? One-on-one? When you guys surrounded and killed my friend, did you think about one-on-one? When you guys surrounded and killed me, did you think about one-on-one? Now you're actually talking to me about one-on-one. Shameless. Ling Xiao sneered disdainfully, dodging Kong Wu's furious blow. Then his figure flashed, instantly vanishing into the void. His speed was really too fast. Shadow body. Shadow step. At this time, Ling Xiao completely entered the darkness, completely disappearing from everyone's sight. "Be careful," Kong Wu roared, reminding his subordinates. But in the next moment, what he saw were corpses lying on the ground one after another. Ice-cold corpses. Cutting grass? Your analogy just now is very good. Killing you good-for-nothings is really as easy as mowing grass. Ling Xiao's voice rang out coldly in the air, as if it came from all directions. It was impossible to determine his exact location. At the same time, the rock race also encountered huge trouble. After Ling Xiao's cultivation improved, the bronze troll he summoned was even stronger than before. Killing those martial artists was simply like slaughtering dogs and chickens. The huge spear was brandished, and with just a sweep, a large number of martial artists were killed. Although those who died were basically all Heaven-tier martial artists, it still made the Great Rock Clan's martial artists burn with rage. The other Grotto Heaven Realm warriors wanted to stop them, but the Peacock race couldn't catch a glimpse of Ling Xiao. On the other hand, the Rock race was completely unable to harm the Bronze Giant Demon. Even a 9th Grotto Heaven Realm martial artist could only fight to a draw with the Bronze Giant Demon. Bastard! Over at the dragon-killing forest, Peng Nantian, the patriarch of the Great Rock race, noticed this scene. He was so angry that he wanted to rush out to protect his clansmen. However, his path was blocked by the Liquor Demon sword. Let's play by ourselves. The Liquor Demon sword's voice had a hint of mockery. Just before, these people still looked down on Ling Xiao, thinking that Ling Xiao would undoubtedly die facing so many martial artists. But now, this Peng Nantian was anxious. However, he could only be anxious because the Liquor Demon's sword's strength was much stronger than him. Wanting to break through here was almost an impossible thing. The battle situation continued to ferment. In less than 10 minutes, a total of about 1,000 Heaven-tier martial artists of the Peacock race and the Great Rock race were all killed. The corpses were thrown on the street, shocking the onlookers. After killing all the Heaven-tier martial artists, Ling Xiao's figure reappeared. How is it? Does your heart ache? Does it feel good? This is the pain you want to impose on me, and now I'm going to return it to you in full. Ling Xiao looked at the martial artists of the Peacock race and the Great Rock race. His eyes were so cold that there wasn't a trace of emotion. If these people only wanted to deal with him, he wouldn't be like this. But they actually wanted to kill everyone around him. If this could be tolerated, what couldn't? Ling Xiao, you bastard. If you have the ability, come at me. Killing a group of Heaven-tier martial artists is nothing. Among the Peacock race, a 3rd Grotto Heaven Realm martial artist roared. Oh, that's what you said. Ling Xiao's lips curled into a sneer. With a light flick of his right hand, a crimson sun all pierced through the air. When the 3rd Grotto Heaven Realm martial artist saw the crimson sun all, he was instantly terrified. With his cultivation, he could already distinguish the strength of an attack. This crimson sun all was filled with murderous intent and terrifying power. It wasn't something he could withstand. Dodge! He turned around to dodge, but the current Ling Xiao was much stronger than him. The crimson sun all's speed was frighteningly fast. There was no way he could dodge it. At this critical moment, he actually grabbed a 1st Grotto Heaven Realm martial artist to block in front of him. The martial artists of the Peacock race are indeed shameless. However, you still can't escape death. Ling Xiao coldly watched this scene. Pooh! Pooh! 2 consecutive sounds rang out as the crimson sun all pierced through the 1st Grotto Heaven Realm martial artist. Then it pierced through the 3rd Grotto Heaven Realm martial artist's body. Both of their bodies burst into flames at almost the same time. In an instant, only 2 charred corpses were left. 2 Grotto Heaven Realm martial artists dead. Ling Xiao. The furious Kong Wu could only watch helplessly as the martial artists on his side were killed. However, there was nothing he could do. He could only vent his dissatisfaction with his angry voice. Ah! At this moment, a scream came from the Great Rock race's side. Everyone turned their heads and saw 3 corpses skewered on the Bronze Giant Demon spear. These 3 people were all Grotto Heaven Realm martial artists, although they were only 1st Grotto Heaven Realm martial artists. Seeing this scene, the surrounding crowd retreated. It was just too shocking. Ling Xiao, this fellow was too terrifying. No one knew what method he used or where he summoned this bronze monster from, but it was just as ferocious as him. In just a short 10 minutes, more than 1,000 Heaven Realm martial artists were killed, and 5 Grotto Heaven Realm martial artists had died tragically. 3-leaf demon eyes. That Ling Xiao actually has three-leaf demon eyes. Is he from the soul race? Someone in the crowd recognized Ling Xiao's strange right eye. What? This voice attracted the attention of the Raven Queen. She turned her head and looked over. Then her pupils suddenly constricted as she roared, Ling Xiao, you vile spawn, what did you do to 6 Jinx? I ate him. Ling Xiao smiled evilly and even deliberately drooled. Bastard, that three-leaf demon eyes belongs to 6 Jinx. Hand it over. The Raven Queen roared as she pounced over. However, she was still blocked by the demonic liquor sword. At this moment, the Yin-Yang realm experts were actually watching Ling Xiao's battle without actually attacking. This was because they seemed to understand that once they started fighting, there would be no turning back. Chapter 1492. Don't worry, Raven Queen. After I kill all the Peacock race and Great Rock race martialists, I will go to the Black Crow Empire and destroy your nation. Ling Xiao grinned and revealed a cruel smile. He thought that he had treated the Black Crow Empire well. He had not killed Tomohiko Kuma that day, but this Raven Queen was so overbearing. Even a clay figurine would have a temper. Not to mention him. 95 people left. Ling Xiao's lips curled into a sneer as he looked coldly at the remaining Peacock race and Great Rock race martialists. His eyes were filled with intense killing intent. Ruthless and cold. The Peacock race and Great Rock race martialists looked at Ling Xiao and could feel his soaring, killing intent and fury. That guy isn't joking. He really wants to kill all of us. Kong Wu felt his hand tremble, and his heart began to palpitate. If Ling Xiao had said that before, he could still think that the other party was arrogant, ignorant, and conceited. But now, after the battle, Ling Xiao had shown that he was strong enough. It was not impossible for him to do this. What are you afraid of? We have so many people, and we are all Grotto Heaven realm martialists. Why should we be afraid of him? Let's join forces and kill him. The Great Rock Race's 9th Grotto Heaven realm martialist roared. He absolutely could not tolerate Ling Xiao's arrogance. That's right, let's attack together. Kong Wu did not care so much. As long as they killed Ling Xiao, it did not matter how others called them shameless. In any case, they had ganged up on him more than once or twice. 95 Grotto Heaven realm martialists, led by Kong Wu and the Great Rock Race's 9th Grotto Heaven realm martialist, attacked Ling Xiao together. Haha, wouldn't it have been over if you had done this earlier? Since you are so shameless, don't pretend to be a hypocrite. Ling Xiao sneered and spat out some sarcastic words. Previously, these people had said that Ling Xiao was courting death by fighting them alone. So arrogant, so insufferably arrogant. But now, each and every one of them had started to band together. Withdraw! Facing the siege of 95 Grotto Heaven realm martial artists, Ling Xiao actually put away the bronze giant demon. He felt that using the bronze trolls against the other party was a bit of a bully. This guy is really too arrogant. He actually intends to face 95 people by himself. He didn't even use that strange summon creature. Feng Yinshan, Zhou Yun, and Feng Yanran appeared in the crowd. The one who spoke was Feng Yinshan. Sigh, Ling Xiao has really caused a huge ruckus this time. Could it be that he really intends to destroy those forces? Zhou Yun sighed. How is that possible? He only said that because he was angry. No matter what, those forces have gone too far this time. His anger is very normal. Feng Yinshan shook his head and said, however, after today's matter, I believe that he will be able to calm down. After all, the Peacock clan's patriarch Kongran is already dead. He even killed so many martial artists from the 2 clans. Cousin, you don't understand Ling Xiao at all. Feng Yanran smiled bitterly. Ling Xiao's character is completely different from his parents. His parents are the kind of righteous people. Although they are smart, there are some things that they can't be ruthless about. It is also because of this that they were schemed against behind their backs. However, Ling Xiao is different. He is a person who doesn't have any restrictions at all. He does things based on his heart. He will do whatever he feels like doing. He doesn't care about reputation or so-called morality at all. Just wait and see. If he wins this battle, then the next step will be crazy revenge. Although Feng Yanran hadn't spent much time with Ling Xiao, she still understood Ling Xiao's temper better than Feng Yinshan. Just as they were talking, the martial artists of the Peacock clan and the Rock clan had already charged towards Ling Xiao. Kong Wu and the 9th Grotto Heaven Realm expert of the Rock clan rushed to the front, trying to prevent more people from dying on their side. Hee, you guys are rushing over like a swarm of bees. It saves me a lot of time. Ling Xiao chuckled as his body floated in the air. The illusory image of the sun and moon appeared behind him. Sun-Moon Sword Domain. As the Sun-Moon Sword Domain appeared, dense sword chi tore through the void and shot towards the crowd. Among the 95 Grotto Heaven Realm martial artists, the majority were at the first Grotto Heaven Realm. There were about 50 of them. Ling Xiao's Sun-Moon Sword Domain might not be very destructive, but it was simply too suitable for a group battle. As the sword chi entered the crowd, what followed was a series of horrified screams. It's really cutting the grass. It's too tragic. This is simply a one-sided massacre. How can this be? Ling Xiao has only been out for a short period of time. How can his cultivation increase so quickly? No wonder this guy dared to say that he would kill all the martial artists of the Peacock clan and the Rock clan. He really wasn't bragging. Boos and jeers could be heard from the crowd. Ling Xiao's performance had exceeded many people's expectations. His strength made many people tremble in fear. Perhaps we've all been mistaken. It wasn't someone else who repelled the 100 Insects Demon King. The one who repelled the 100 Insects Demon King was Ling Xiao, and the one who obtained the immemorial Golden Crow and immemorial Celestial Demon Battle Intent was also him. Ji Ruolong stared fixedly at Ling Xiao's battle, although he couldn't tell from the battle that Ling Xiao had used the Golden Crow Battle Intent and Celestial Demon Battle Intent for the time being. But he felt that his guess was probably correct. How can this be? Can he do it? Raven Queen asked in surprise. He can do it. Don't forget that the Silver Moon Greedy Wolf should be the one who led the battle. Ling Xiao is just a fisherman who reaps the benefits. To be inconsolable, Ji Ruolong pointed at the Silver Moon Greedy Wolf in the distance and said, "If that's the case, then Ling Xiao must die. Aren't we going to start?" Raven Queen looked at Dan Yunsheng and asked. Dan Yunsheng was in charge of the Everlasting Joy Immortal Island, and the Divine Phoenix Empire belonged to the Everlasting Joy Immortal Island. Dan Yunsheng had to decide whether to fight or not. "There's no hurry. Let's wait until Ling Xiao is dead," Dan Yunsheng said indifferently. "I don't believe that he can defeat those 95 people by himself." Even if he didn't believe it, the massacre had already begun. In the blink of an eye, the 95 people became 40. 51st Grotto Heaven Realm martial artists died in battle. 5 2nd Grotto Heaven Realm martial artists were killed. The remaining 40 people could be said to be the elites of the Peacock clan and the Rock clan. Among them, 23rd Grotto Heaven Realm martial artists, 6 4th Grotto Heaven Realm martial artists, 5 5th Grotto Heaven Realm martial artists, 3 6th Grotto Heaven Realm martial artists, 2 7th Grotto Heaven Realm martial artists, 2 8th Grotto Heaven Realm martial artists, 2 9th Grotto Heaven Realm martial artists. Normally, such a force would be enough to flatten any small country in the Divine Phoenix Empire. But today they were only facing one Ling Xiao. "Ling Xiao, you must die today no matter what," Kong Wu roared. Chapter 1493. Kong Wu roared. He had already broken through the shackles of the Sun-Moon Sword domain and approached Ling Xiao with the 9th Grotto Heaven realm martial artist of the Great Peng race. Behind them, the rest of the martial artists followed. Haha, you've said the same thing so many times. Don't you find it boring? Ling Xiao put away the Sun-Moon Sword domain and activated the Radiance Sword domain. Of course, he activated the Radiance Sword domain not to attack, but to enhance it. Within the range of the Radiance Sword domain, all moves of the profound truths of light would be greatly enhanced. The Radiance Sword domain was not purely for attacking. Then, the moon behind Ling Xiao disappeared, leaving behind only a red sun. A Radiance Divine Sword hovered above his head. Radiance Divine Sword, Rising Sun Transformation. Suddenly, the sword exploded, and the terrifying light forced many martial artists to close their eyes. Then, the terrifying sword light fell into the crowd. 5 figures were hit at the same time. These 5 people were all 3rd Grotto Heaven realm martial artists. Ling Xiao's strategy was to pick on the weaker ones first. Since the 1st and 2nd Grotto Heaven realm martial artists had been killed, the weakest ones were the 23rd Grotto Heaven realm martial artists. It's not over yet. As the 5 3rd Grotto Heaven realm martial artists were killed, their bodies began to explode. The martial artists standing beside them were caught off guard. Their bodies were charred from head to toe, charred from head to toe, and charred from head to toe. Another 3 had died. This Ling Xiao is too treacherous. He deliberately avoided the strong to pick on the weaker ones. But can he still avoid them after he's done with them? Within the crowd, a martial artist from Divine Phoenix Academy said in a very unhappy manner, "Hee, those so-called experts of yours have to be able to touch Ling Xiao. Otherwise, what's the use of them?" This was the response of the Qingshu College disciple. "No, I'm not fighting anymore. I'm not fighting anymore. I want to go home." There was a limit to a person's willpower. The martial artists next to them died one after another, and the weaker 3rd Grotto Heaven realm martial artists immediately lost their will to fight. They were still young and had a bright future ahead of them. They should not die here. Ow! There were 7 people who tried to escape. In the end, everyone only saw a flash of white light, and these 4 people all turned into corpses. It was the Silver Moon Greedy Wolf that killed them. Do you think it's that easy to kill and leave? Ling Xiao coldly looked at the corpses and disdainfully said, "Today, none of you will leave. All of you will die." There are only 5 Grotto Heaven realm martial artists left. Ling Xiao muttered something, and then his figure flashed, dodging the attacks from Kong Wu and the others. He turned into a streak of light and disappeared into the crowd. With a wave of the Divine Radiance sword in his hand, the remaining 5 Grotto Heaven realm martial artists were beheaded by Ling Xiao like puppets. Next is the 4th Grotto Heaven realm martial artist. Ling Xiao turned around and faced the 4th Grotto Heaven realm martial artists with a sinister smile. The 6 of them were originally standing at the back, but now that Ling Xiao had cut them to the back, they were directly facing Ling Xiao. When they saw Ling Xiao, they were so frightened that they lost the courage to fight. They sped up and tried to escape. How sad. If we fight to the death, at least we can die a little more heroically. Divine Radiance Sword, Ardent Sun Transformation. The power of the Divine Radiance Sword increased once again. The scarlet sun behind Ling Xiao burned even more fiercely. These 6 martial artists only saw the resplendent sunlight rushing toward them, and then they completely lost consciousness. 6 4th Grotto Heaven realm martial artists had died. Is he crazy? What cultivation level does Ling Xiao have? I can understand why he was chopping melons and vegetables. After all, a martial artist's strength is relatively weak. But facing 6 4th Grotto Heaven realm martial artists, it's so easy. What the hell? Feng Yinshan felt his hands trembling. He originally thought that his cultivation level was completely above Ling Xiao's, so Ling Xiao was no threat to him. But today, He finally saw that Ling Xiao was too terrifying. This kind of talent was more terrifying than anyone else's. It was even more terrifying than Ji Lingyue and the demonic liquor sword. He was completely inhuman. What a pity. Why can't I use such a person? Feng Yinshan sighed helplessly. He's a wolf, not a dog. Crown Prince Yinshan, don't think too much about it. Perhaps we can cooperate temporarily, but it's impossible to make him listen to us. Beside him, Zhou Yun shook his head. He was the most conflicted. Ling Xiao was a disciple of their Qingshu College. He should have felt honored and excited because of Ling Xiao, but because of Feng Yinshan he chose to sit on the fence this time. In fact, this was a very unwise choice. But people had to make choices. He chose Feng Yinshan, not Ling Xiao. Whether it was right or wrong, it would be a long time before he knew. Ling Xiao, I'm going to kill you. The furious Kong Wu used a large amount of his origin energy domain to increase his speed. Only then did he get close to Ling Xiao. The long spear in his hand directly pierced towards Ling Xiao's throat. At this moment he was extremely angry. Ling Xiao had actually mercilessly killed the warriors of their two clans in front of him. This was intolerable. Don't worry. If you want to die, it'll be your turn later. It won't be long. Ling Xiao chuckled and his figure disappeared again. Shadow step and shadow body were simply unfathomable. At the very least, Kong Wu couldn't do anything to him. Everyone watched as Ling Xiao disappeared and reappeared in an instant. They were almost numb. It should have only been half a month since Ling Xiao left the imperial capital this time, but he had already become so strong. Even 4th Grotto Heaven Realm warriors were casually squashed to death like ants. No, they might not even be as good as ants, because ants could still fight back. However, those people couldn't even fight back when facing Ling Xiao. Divine Radiance Sword, Violent Sun Change. Once again, the power of Ling Xiao's divine sword increased. When dealing with stronger opponents, the power naturally had to constantly increase. Otherwise, it would be a joke if he couldn't kill them. Kill! The 5 5th Grotto Heaven Realm warriors collectively resisted. However, it was useless. Their resistance was at most the same as ants overestimating their own strength. The terrifying sword light swept across, and the 5 corpses emitted a charred smell. 5th Grotto Heaven Realm warriors, 5 die. This guy really didn't treat Grotto Heaven Realm warriors as humans. He was completely engrossed in killing. The moment he killed the 5 5th Grotto Heaven Realm warriors, Ling Xiao's figure turned into a stream of light and disappeared. He avoided Kong Wu's pursuit once again. What astonishing speed, it's just like light. What do you mean, just like light? I think it's just light. Is it an illusion? His body has completely turned into a ray of light. Is this something a human can do? All the warriors were astonished, including the Yin-Yang realm experts. Although they were stronger than Ling Xiao, they had never seen such a movement technique. His body had completely turned into a ray of light, completely ignoring the resistance of the air. This guy, I'm afraid even my speed is inferior to his. Peng Nanshan's expression was extremely ugly. Chapter 1494. Peng Nantian was a Yin-Yang realm first-level expert and a member of the rock race. His speed had always been his pride. However, when he saw Ling Xiao today, he suddenly felt a strong sense of decadence. He was actually surpassed by a young man who wasn't even in the Yin-Yang realm. How embarrassing. Die. When Ling Xiao appeared again, 2 6th Grotto Heaven realm martial artists were already waiting there. They didn't want to sit around and wait for death, so they wanted to take the initiative to kill Ling Xiao. Even if they couldn't kill him, they wanted to severely injure Ling Xiao. This way, they could create opportunities for other martial artists. Interesting. Dark Sword Domain. Dark Demon Sword, Soul Extinguisher. In an instant, Ling Xiao activated both the Light Sword Domain and Dark Sword Domain at the same time. Then, The dark demon sword appeared in his left hand. Ling Xiao was already very proficient in dual wielding when he was in the martial vein realm, using two hands to unleash two different moves without interfering with each other. Even in the entire profound world, such a feat was extremely rare. However, Ling Xiao was able to do it. The light and shadow powers in his body were activated at the same time. The divine light sword in his right hand released a dazzling light and slashed at one of them. The dark demon sword in his left hand was low-key and emitted a ferocious aura as it slashed at the other person. This guy is really an incredible monster. The wine demon sword couldn't help but sigh. Wielding two swords was nothing strange. Many people could do it. However, wielding two swords had two completely different attributes and two completely different moves. Not only would there be no conflict between them, but they would also be able to unleash greater power. This was something that only a few monstrous geniuses could do. It seems that he will be able to break through to the yin-yang realm soon and surpass me. The wine demon sword was very excited. Back then, he chose Ling Xiao because he hoped that Ling Xiao could help him save Ji Lingyue. However, at that time, it was just a gamble. He wasn't sure if it would succeed. It was only now that he understood that his choice was correct. The demon sword of darkness and the divine sword of light struck out together. Two sixth grotto heaven realm martial artists that tried to kill Ling Xiao were killed on the spot. However, things were not over yet. The remaining sixth grotto heaven realm martial artist had originally rushed over because he felt that even if his comrade couldn't kill Ling Xiao, he would still be able to severely wound him. In that case, he would be able to kill Ling Xiao. However, he never expected that he would be sending himself to his death by rushing over. Crack! The crisp sound of something being bitten off rang out. The last remaining sixth grotto heaven realm martial artist had his waist bitten off by something. At that moment, he hadn't died yet. He looked behind him in horror. In his shadow, there was a strange thing. Void Shadow Crocodile. Ling Xiao didn't forget about this sneak attack. At this point, all three sixth grotto heaven realm martial artists had been killed. There were 95 people just now, but now there were only 6 left. 2 seventh grotto heaven realm martial artists, 2 eighth grotto heaven realm martial artists, and 2 ninth grotto heaven realm martial artists. At this moment, Kong Wu didn't pursue Ling Xiao. He stared blankly at the corpses on the ground, not daring to believe his eyes. Sixth grotto heaven realm martial artists. They were the backbone of their race, absolutely formidable fighting strength. Yet they had been so easily killed by Ling Xiao. Kong Wu had said before that they were not puppets, and that it was impossible for Ling Xiao to cut them down like grass. But now the reality before him was something he could never have imagined. From the start of the battle until now, Ling Xiao had been slaughtering them like he was cutting grass. The Thousand Heaven realm martial artists didn't need to be mentioned for the time being. After all, their cultivation was too low, so it was understandable that they were easily killed. But the remaining 100 grotto heaven realm martial artists were still chopped up like vegetables in front of Ling Xiao. They were all killed in a single move. These people didn't even manage to touch the hem of Ling Xiao's clothes until they died. The spectators and yin-yang realm experts found this scene unbelievable and incomprehensible. They had imagined many scenarios. For example, Ling Xiao being abused and suffering the consequences of his own actions. For example, Ling Xiao killing several enemies with great difficulty only to be surrounded and killed in the end. For example, Ling Xiao being unable to defeat his opponents and being forced to flee in the end. The only thing they hadn't imagined was this situation. They felt like they were dreaming. Haha, there are still 6 people left. Do you still have any doubts about my words? Ling Xiao asked Kong Wu with a chuckle. I don't believe that you haven't exhausted yourself at all. Now, your good luck will come to an end. Kong Wu coldly said, That's right. It seems that your cultivation is around the 7th grotto heaven realm, so it's easy for you to kill martial artists below the 6th grotto heaven realm. but against the 6 of us, you have no chance of victory. The 9th Grotto Heaven realm martial artist of the great Pung race harshly shouted. TSK, you said this when there were only 95 of you left, and you're still saying it now. It seems that in order to make you realize the cruelty of reality, I really have to kill all of you. Ling Xiao's voice was still confident and arrogant, as if the 6 people in front of him were nothing special. However, the spectators were beginning to worry for him. The remaining 6 are all stronger than him. He relied on his speed to avoid these people. How will he deal with them now? I'm also puzzled. Unless he chooses to flee, it's very difficult for him to win against these 6 people. That's right. After all, there are still 2 elder-level martial artists there. If Ling Xiao doesn't kill them, all his previous efforts will be in vain. You can't say that. In any case, Ling Xiao's strength is obvious to all. He single-handedly killed more than 1,000 martial artists of the Peacock race and the Great Pung race to only 6. That's right. His arrogance and domineering aura are not false bravado. He really possesses terrifying strength. Maybe, I'm just saying maybe. Today, we're going to see a scene that we'll never forget. Will Ling Xiao perform a miracle that has never happened in the history of the mystic world? At this time, whether it was those who supported Ling Xiao, those who doubted Ling Xiao, or even those who opposed Ling Xiao, they were all very nervous. Because at this moment, no matter how far Ling Xiao persevered, he had actually created an unprecedented record. Every time he killed someone, he would break his own record. What a pity. He's obviously the most outstanding student in the history of Qingshu College. But no one from Qingshu College stepped forward to protect him. It's so sad. Who said no one? I, Feng Qingyan, the Vice Dean of Qingshu College, will defend our Qingshu College's disciple. Ling Xiao to the death today. Suddenly, a gust of wind came from afar. Feng Qingyan looked a little embarrassed and angry, but his eyes were filled with determination. His body was stained with blood, and he seemed to be injured. Chapter 1495. I'm sorry, Ling Xiao. I'm late. Some people don't want me to help you, but I'm not an ungrateful person. Back then, you saved my life in the northern region. I'm willing to die in battle to repay your kindness. Feng Qingyan floated in the air and said loudly, Sigh, those trash. Why couldn't they stop him? In the crowd, Zhou Yun sighed. If we can't stop him, then let's forget about it. Perhaps this is an opportunity. This time, I'm afraid we've completely disappointed Ling Xiao. Fortunately, Uncle Qing Yan was able to make Ling Xiao have a good impression of us. Feng Yinshan shook his head and smiled bitterly. Before coming here, he had arranged everything. The only thing he didn't expect was that Ling Xiao would have so many Yinyang realm experts helping him. He also didn't expect Ling Xiao to be so powerful. He had miscalculated. This vicious wolf could have been used by him. Vice Principal, is Lian all right? Ling Xiao asked. She's also under house arrest, but she's fine. Feng Qingyan replied. That's good. You seem to have experienced a bitter battle. Go over there and help me guard it. I'm afraid that if these people want to escape, they might not be able to stop them. Ling Xiao said with a smile. Are you sure you can do it alone? Feng Qingyan asked worriedly. Don't worry. If I say I can, then I can. Ling Xiao had a smile on his face the entire time. He knew very well who treated him well and who didn't. Even if Feng Qingyan didn't come here today, he could understand that something must have happened to him. All right then. Feng Qingyan touched his chest. He had indeed been injured by Feng Yinshan's subordinates. That nether restriction was even more terrifying than he had imagined. We absolutely can't let him defeat us one by one. We have to truly work together. Kong Wu looked at Ling Xiao and suddenly said, although they had besieged Ling Xiao, previously it was simply a swarm of bees. In reality, they couldn't form much of a comprehensive combat strength. That's right. The 6 of us can't be separated anymore. The elder of the rock race also said, "Since that's the case, I'll take the front and you take the rear. The 2 of us will protect the front and the back. Don't give Ling Xiao any chance to launch a sneak attack." Kong Wu began to assign positions. You 2 8th Grotto Heaven Realm Martial Artists will guard the flanks. 2 7th Grotto Heaven Realm Martial Artists will assist the 2 8th Grotto Heaven Realm Martial Artists in the center. In this way, every position will have the strongest combat power, and it will be absolutely impregnable. Ling Xiao will have no way to do anything. No problem. The 6 of them quickly formed a battle formation. Remember, go all out and don't hold back. That guy is a real monster. If you don't kill him today, not only will you not be able to take revenge, you will also cause endless harm. I believe you don't want to see your family killed by this vicious guy, right? It had to be said that Kong Wu really had some leadership skills. When he said this, the martial artists' fighting spirit soared, and their killing intent soared to the sky. The 17-year-old Ling Xiao was already so terrifying. If he was given another year or 2, no one in the entire Divine Phoenix continent would be able to suppress him. If they didn't kill this kid now, it would be even harder to kill him in the future. This was the current situation. After saying this, Kong Wu completely entered beast mode. The peacock race's bloodline allowed him to be faster and stronger. Moreover, the strange light he possessed could also cause Ling Xiao a lot of trouble. This person specialized in bloodline and didn't have a martial soul, but such a person was actually even more terrifying. Martial artists were most afraid of specialized bloodlines, especially at this stage. The elder of the rock race also didn't have a martial soul. He also entered beast mode. The speed of the rock race was displayed to the extreme, and his cold eagle eyes revealed an intense killing intent. The other 4 martial artists also ignited their bloodlines and entered beast mode. In an instant, the 6 human-looking martial artists became 6 terrifying beasts, and they were beasts with brains. This made them even more difficult to deal with. The power of the bloodline after complete shape-shifting feels really powerful. Will Ling Xiao really be a match for them? The surrounding crowd began to worry again. After all, a martial artist's fighting strength would increase greatly after complete beast mode. Ling Xiao looked at the 6 people with an indifferent smile on his face, as if none of this had anything to do with him. Your battle formation is indeed not bad. There is no weakness in it. He looked at the 6 people in front of him and said with a smile, "But can this really stop my slaughter? Since I can't find a soft persimmon to pinch, then let's face it head on. Kong Wu, I originally wanted to leave you for last, but since you want to die, I'll start with you." He didn't intend to look for flaws, but to face the strongest Kong Wu head on. If he could kill Kong Wu, then the battle formation would collapse on its own, and even the 8th and 7th Grotto Heaven Realm martial artists would instantly lose their will to fight. But was Kong Wu really so easy to deal with? Was Ling Xiao's choice really right? Of course. Ling Xiao wouldn't answer their questions. His left eye opened. Sword spirits, eye, destruction sword. Slaughter sword. Fusion. Destruction, sword of light. Darkness, sword of slaughter. They were still 2 swords, but after fusing the destruction sword intent and the slaughter sword intent, their power was completely different. Can you unseal my demon sword, Yi Gushin, and my ancient hell dragon, Dragon Slayer? Once, the human monarch's power helped Ling Xiao seal the chaotic power, mainly because he was worried that Ling Xiao's cultivation would be too complicated, and in the end, it wouldn't make up for the loss, and he wouldn't be able to unleash the true power of the mountain river martial soul. But today, the situation was different from the past. Ling Xiao's strength had become stronger. Moreover, he was only releasing Yi Gushin and Dragon Slayer as martial souls to increase the power of the slaughter sword and destruction sword. The last bit of the human monarch's power in his body couldn't stop Ling Xiao from unsealing these powers. Behind Ling Xiao, a black demon dragon appeared in the red sun and let out a shocking roar. It was the ancient hell dragon, Dragon Slayer. In the dark shadow, a demon's sword quietly appeared and then turned into a human figure. It was a cold man in a black robe. It was the king of the demon swords, Yi Guxian. Of course, Ling Xiao knew how strong his opponent was. Otherwise, he wouldn't have unsealed these two martial souls. The remaining 6 people must die. Otherwise, it wouldn't have the effect of deterrence. What martial soul is that? Does Ling Xiao also have the rare twin martial souls? Who knows? Ling Xiao has never released his martial soul in battle before. I feel that it's very strong. Isn't that nonsense? Would he use it if it wasn't strong? Everyone stared behind Ling Xiao. A huge black and red dragon was hovering there, its huge head staring at the 6 enemies. As for the black figure, it had completely disappeared into the darkness and was almost invisible. Chapter 1496. Yi Guxian's black figure had already disappeared. But just because he couldn't be seen didn't mean he didn't exist. Perhaps he was the most dangerous one. Kill! Kong Wu roared as he pounced at Ling Xiao. Although he knew that Ling Xiao's body had undergone some changes, he had no choice but to release the arrow. As a 9th Grotto Heaven Realm expert, he was the strongest person here. If he was afraid and didn't fight, the others would certainly lose their fighting spirit. The 6 warriors charged at Ling Xiao in a battle formation, not giving Ling Xiao any chance to defeat them one by one. At the same time, the 7 colored feathers on Kong Wu's peacock tail released 7 strange lights. After that, the light enveloped the entire space, enveloping Ling Xiao and the 6 people who were fighting within it. Strange light domain. Legend had it that very few warriors of the peacock race could activate this strange light domain. This type of domain could render the opponent's techniques completely ineffective. It could ignore any light effects and prevent the eyes from being stimulated. Of course, the most frightening thing was that it would constantly absorb the opponent's domain origin energy, strengthening itself while wearing down the opponent. It could be said that this Grotto Heaven domain was simply cheating. Ling Xiao stared at Kong Wu, knowing that he had to eliminate this guy first. Otherwise, even he wouldn't be able to endure staying in this strange light domain for too long. At this moment, Ling Xiao's eyes turned cold. It wasn't hatred, but calmness. Facing these 6 experts, he had to be calm enough to achieve the final victory. Opening his Taiji eye, he locked onto Kong Wu's every move. He wanted to find the biggest flaw in this person's attack. Kong Wu's speed wasn't fast because he had to coordinate with the battle formation. But within the strange light domain, he could move so close yet so far. It seemed slow, but it was actually very fast. Moreover, the strange light domain had merged the 6 people's auras into one. Even while moving, the battle formation wouldn't be disrupted. Of course, speed wasn't the key. If Ling Xiao wanted to defeat Kong Wu, he couldn't rely on dodging alone. Therefore, even if Kong Wu was as slow as a snail, he still had to face him head-on. At this moment, Kong Wu's aura was the strongest. When he moved, the sound of rolling flames could be heard. Scarlet flames ignited on his body. The peacock bloodline is indeed extraordinary. The crowd below exclaimed in surprise, because even standing outside the strange light domain, they could feel the scorching and oppressive aura, making it difficult for them to breathe. He believed that Ling Xiao, who was trapped in the strange light domain, would definitely feel even worse. But they were wrong. Facing Kong Wu's aura, not only did Ling Xiao not feel the slightest pressure, but he even sneered. He had already unsealed the ancient infernal dragon soul. The hell dragon flame was even more terrifying than the holy flame. Would Ling Xiao be afraid of Kong Wu's flames? Moreover, he had long been accustomed to the high temperature of the power of light. How could he be afraid of such a high temperature? He was currently considering how he could defeat Kong Wu in a direct confrontation. The Tyrant martial spirit would definitely not be used. At the very least, it would not be fully released. There was no need to deal with someone like Kong Wu. After all, Ling Zhao's cultivation had reached the peak of the 7th Grotto Heaven Realm. Although he couldn't completely crush a 9th Grotto Heaven Realm expert with his current fighting strength, he would definitely win. Since it was his trump card, he naturally had to use it at the most critical moment. He still used the Sword of Light of Destruction and the Sword of Darkness of Massacre. But this time the two swords had souls. The Sword of Light of Destruction had fused with the soul of the ancient Hell Dragon. The Sword of Darkness had fused with the martial soul of the demon sword's master, Yi Gushin. Their power had increased by more than a little. Bloom, Light of Destruction, Hellfire. The Sword of Light of Destruction in his right hand was dazzling. It absorbed the scarlet sun's light in the sky, turning it into an even more intense and terrifying aura. Even through the strange light domain, the crowd could still feel the terror of this sword, as if it had the power to destroy heaven and earth. Ling Zhao's sword technique was so terrifying that even the scarlet sun couldn't compare to it. The Sword of Darkness on his left and right became gloomier, as if it was a terrifying shadow hiding in the darkness. It also seemed like a terrifying giant beast lurking behind the scarlet sun. The sword wasn't as dazzling as the right hand, but the terrifying murderous intent made everyone tremble in fear. His dual swords are even more terrifying than before. What is his limit? The crowd looked at this scene in surprise. From the beginning of the battle, the power of Ling Zhao's sword technique had been constantly increasing. Every time they thought that this was Ling Zhao's limit, Ling Zhao's sword would explode with another terrifying increase, leaving everyone dumbfounded. The sword in Ling Zhao's hand was no longer a simple weapon. It was as if it had turned into his closest comrade-in-arms and the most powerful partner. This was really a rather strange thing. Tai Chi rotates, and the dual swords strike out together, destroying and killing. It's terrifying. If it enters yin and yang, who can compete with the divine phoenix? The demonic liquor, sword, clicked his tongue and sighed. He was also a swordsman, so he naturally knew how terrifying Ling Zhao's dual swords were. The two swords had completely different sword intents, completely different moves, and even completely different fields of origin energy. What was even more terrifying was that they contained different martial souls. In the entire mystic world, there was probably no one who could do such a thing. Perhaps there were people in the immortal court continent and the hell continent who could do it, but they were very rare. Once Ling Zhao truly stepped into the yin-yang realm, even if it was only the first level, with his terrifying sword technique, it wasn't impossible for him to surpass all the martial artists in the divine Phoenix continent. Of course, Kong Wu also knew how powerful Ling Zhao's dual swords were, but he absolutely couldn't retreat. If he retreated now, he would be in an even worse state. Because his strength had accumulated to the limit, his aura had also expanded to the limit. Once he chose to retreat, everything would collapse. Without Ling Zhao attacking, he would play himself to death. Kill! Kong Wu let out a shocking roar. His aura exploded, and the space around him became distorted. This roar was to embolden himself and also to make up his mind to attack. The long spear in his hand pressed forward with an indomitable aura and great power. Spear of strange light. The spear in Kong Wu's hand continued to condense the light released by the strange light domain. It even absorbed the domain origin energy from Ling Zhao's body. It was almost transparent. However, no one dared to underestimate the power of this spear. Kill! Ling Zhao spat out the same cold voice. The sword of light of destruction in his right hand pierced out with an unstoppable force. At that moment, cracks appeared in the space, and cracks also appeared in the domain of light. It was like an eggshell that kept cracking. Boom! Finally, the sword and spear collided in the void. Strange light and flames began to surge. Chapter 1497. Sword and spear collided. The entire battlefield trembled. Ling Xiao's body actually took half a step back. Kong Wu is indeed a 9th Grotto Heaven realm martial artist. Those trash can't compare to him. Ling Xiao is out of luck this time. A voice from the crowd seemed to have been suppressed for a long time before finally shouting. After seeing Ling Xiao slaughter the peacock and rock race martial artists, those who were unhappy with Ling Xiao naturally wanted to see him suffer. However, perhaps they were celebrating a little too early. Half a step back was just Ling Xiao retreating to advance. The sword of light annihilation in his right hand continued to pressure, while the dark massacre sword in his left hand suddenly thrust upward, aiming for Kong Wu's vitals. The dark demon sword was soundless and had no resplendent light, but it had terrifying lethality. Chi! The sword was too fast. Kong Wu's arm was cut off by the sword, blood splattering everywhere. This was because Kong Wu had sensed the dark slaughter sword coming at him at the critical moment. Otherwise, his body would have been cleaved into 2 halves by this sword. Peacock of Light. Facing a serious threat to his life, Kong Wu withdrew the light domain, and a huge peacock of light took shape. It pounced at Ling Xiao, trying to force Ling Xiao back and create an opportunity for itself. Oh, a new move? But it's meaningless. Ling Xiao sneered when he saw the peacock pouncing towards him. Not only did he not retreat, but he also threw the sword of light obliteration in his right hand. Ong! A clear dragon roar sounded. In that instant, the entire world was filled with an evil and terrifying aura. The ancient hell dragon had successfully transformed with the help of the sword of light annihilation. Ancient hell dragon. That's the ancient hell dragon. So Ling Xiao's martial soul is one of the 9 ancient hell dragon souls, the hell dragon soul. Many people were guessing what Ling Xiao's martial soul was. But even now, they had yet to obtain an accurate answer. When the ancient hell dragon's huge body pounced towards the peacock of light, they suddenly understood. Ling Xiao actually possessed such a terrifying martial soul. Unfortunately, no one knew that this was just a small dragon in the Sky Tyrant universe. Ling Xiao's true martial soul was the Tyrant martial soul, which was much stronger than the ancient infernal dragon soul. Boom! The ancient hell dragon and the rainbow peacock collided in the sky. Blazing flames shot out. It was as if the sun had exploded in the sky. Destroy! Ling Xiao uttered coldly. Then the huge peacock began to fall apart. After all, the mutant peacock was formed from energy. Although it was powerful, it didn't have its own soul or will. Naturally, it couldn't fight against the ancient hell dragon. Not good. Retreat first. When Kong Wu saw the multicolored peacock being destroyed, he felt a strong sense of apprehension toward Ling Xiao. At this moment, he no longer had his previous confidence and bravery. Facing Ling Xiao, he only felt fear and unease. Can you make it in time? Ling Xiao's cold voice sounded. The ancient hell dragon opened its huge mouth and charged at Kong Wu with an unstoppable momentum. At that moment, Kong Wu didn't think too much. He endured the pain of losing an arm and grabbed at the ancient hell dragon with his huge peacock claws. He almost used all his strength. Bang! Another loud sound. Kong Wu temporarily blocked the dragon slayer's attack and continued to retreat with the help of the recoil. However, the battle formation made him lose his composure, and he fell into the arms of the 2 7th Grotto Heaven realm martial artists. Run! Kong Wu didn't have time to think and screamed desperately. He could feel that danger was still tightly entangling him like maggots in his bones. He had no intention of retreating at all. Why are you running? Didn't you say that I'm avoiding you because I'm afraid of you? At some point, Ling Xiao's figure had appeared near Kong Wu. The 8th Grotto Heaven realm martial artists on both sides tried to rescue Kong Wu. However, they were swept away by the ancient hell dragon's huge tail and could not get close. In Ling Zhao's hand, the dark massacre sword was eerie and terrifying, exuding an icy, killing intent. It's over. It looks like Kong Wu won't be able to dodge this sword. Many people felt a sense of powerlessness. A ninth Grotto Heaven realm martial artist was actually suppressed by Ling Zhao. Although his performance was much better than the other martial artists, he was still battered and exhausted. Ling Zhao said that he didn't fear anyone except Yin Yang realm martial artists. Many people originally thought that this was an exaggeration and overestimating his own strength. But now, seeing how Ling Zhao was bullying Kong Wu, they knew that Ling Zhao's words were not nonsense. Die, Kong Wu. Use your blood to pay tribute to my hatred. Ling Zhao's sword stabbed down. It was a very ordinary stab. There was no technique used. However, no one was able to stop this sword. At this time, the closest ones to Kong Wu were the two 7th Grotto Heaven realm martial artists. But they were actually intimidated by Ling Zhao's terrifying slaughter sword intent. Their bodies trembled and they couldn't even attack, much less protect Kong Wu. With me here, you can't kill him. Suddenly, a light flashed and the 9th Grotto Heaven realm martial artist of the Great Rock Race moved. The Great Rock Race's speed was fast. In an instant, he was between Ling Zhao and Kong Wu. Then his gleaming claws swiped at Ling Zhao. Light Shadow escape. Ling Zhao chuckled. He completely ignored the Great Rock Race elder's attack and his figure suddenly disappeared. Then, to everyone's surprise, they saw black and white light pierce through Kong Wu's chest. When they tried to capture this light again, they discovered that Ling Zhao's figure had already appeared below. Kong Wu's body had been directly penetrated, and his vitality was rapidly draining away. No, impossible. Kong Wu was unwilling to believe this was true. However, he looked down at his body and saw that his vital parts had been completely penetrated. Moreover, the terrifying sword qi was wreaking havoc in his body. It was so painful that he wanted to cry out. Why is this happening? What is your cultivation level? Kong Wu could no longer turn his head because he had no strength left. Being able to speak was already his limit. The peak of the 7th Grotto Heaven realm. Ling Zhao said indifferently. There was nothing to hide. Many people had probably already guessed it. I don't believe it. This is impossible. How could I be killed by a 7th Grotto Heaven realm martial artist? Whether he believed it or not, the truth was already so. Ling Zhao couldn't be bothered to explain. At this moment, 2 more screams were heard. It turned out that the 2 7th Grotto Heaven realm martial artists were stunned by Kong Wu's death. The Dragon Slayer took the opportunity to open his bloody mouth and swallow the 2 of them. In an instant, the 2 of them lost all signs of life. There are still 3 people left. Your battle formation doesn't seem as powerful as I imagined. Ling Zhao looked at the remaining 3 martial artists and revealed a mocking smile. Chapter 1498. Of the remaining 3, 1 was a great Peng elder at the 9th Grotto Heaven realm. The other 2 were 8th Grotto Heaven realm martial artists, 1 from the Peacock race and 1 from the Great Peng race. I'll kill you. When the Peacock clan martial artist saw Kong Wu killed, he reckoned that there must be some special relationship between them. That was why he recklessly rushed towards Ling Zhao. Don't! The Great Peng race elder tried to stop him, but he was a step too late. Ling Zhao watched as the 8th Grotto Heaven Realm expert charged at him. In the past, such an expert would have been able to easily crush him. But today, such a martial artist was not worth mentioning at all in his eyes. Impulsiveness will get you killed. Ling Zhao had not moved from start to finish. But when the 8th Grotto Heaven realm martial artist was 3 or 4 meters away, his upper body was separated from his lower body. The crimson blood was a ghastly sight. When I was fighting just now, you should have been watching. Why didn't you know to be on guard? Ling Xiao had used the Void Shadow Crocodile more than once in this battle, and he had succeeded each time. It wasn't that his opponents couldn't sense it, but that they simply didn't have the time or energy to notice the Void Shadow Crocodile's sneak attack. Everyone was dumbfounded. Their eyes were fixed on that moment, unable to move. In a few short moments, 2 7th Grotto Heaven Realm martial artists, 1 8th Grotto Heaven Realm martial artist, and the 9th Grotto Heaven Realm martial artist Kong Wu had all been killed. They had died so easily that many people felt like their eyes were playing tricks on them. From the beginning to the end, these 6 so-called strongest Grotto Heaven Realm martial artists hadn't even touched Ling Xiao's clothes and had died so easily. Devil. This fellow is a devil. There's no way we can defeat him. The great Peng Race 8th Grotto Heaven Realm martial artist cried out as he fled into the distance. His remaining fighting spirit had been completely worn away. He no longer had the courage to face Ling Xiao. All he wanted to do now was run. Although he still had a great Peng Race elder at his side, a 9th Grotto Heaven Realm expert, he had no confidence. Kong Wu had been killed, so what was the point of having a great Peng Race elder at the same cultivation level as Kong Wu? In the end, I still have to escape? Isn't that the most cowardly idea? Ling Xiao's lips curled into a disdainful smile as he casually waved his right hand. A shadow all shot out at an extremely fast speed. Pucci, the great Rock Race's 8th Grotto Heaven Realm martial artist, was like a bird that had been shot to death, quickly falling to the ground. He shouldn't have died so easily. However, because he had fled and left his back exposed to Ling Xiao, it had become extremely easy for Ling Xiao to kill him. Kill yourself. Ling Xiao didn't even look at the rock warrior who was running away. Instead, he looked at the rock elder and said, "I'll give you a chance. Die with dignity." These words sounded familiar because they were exactly what the Ice Phoenix ancestor had said to the Moon Maiden. Now that Ling Xiao said it, it sounded a little ironic. This Ling Xiao is really ruthless. However, that great Peng Race elder is at the 9th Grotto Heaven Realm after all. He shouldn't choose to commit suicide, right? Of course not. If he takes a gamble, he might still have a chance. However, the slap to the face came too quickly. After an intense mental struggle, the great Peng Race elder's gaze fell on the corpses of Kong Wu and the others. Not a single one of those corpses was intact. "All right, I'll kill myself. I just want to leave my corpse intact." What? He actually agreed? How cowardly is he? You can't blame him. They couldn't kill Ling Xiao even though they had the advantage in numbers. Now that he's the only one left, it's even more impossible. Rather than die without an intact corpse, he might as well die with dignity. Sigh, thinking about it carefully, that's really the case. The crowd was abuzz with discussion. However, even though this was the case, the outcome still shocked countless people. Ling Xiao, let him go. I, Peng Nantian, swear that from now on, I will never be your enemy. If I violate this oath, I will be destroyed by the heavens and the earth. Let my great Peng Race be exterminated. Peng Nantian's voice sounded. He sounded a little desolate and helpless. He was really helpless after being forced to this extent by Ling Xiao. He wanted to help, but he was stopped by the demonic liquor sword. He could only watch as his clansmen were killed by Ling Xiao. Didn't he hate him? That was impossible. He hated Ling Xiao to the bone. However, what was the use of hating him? He couldn't let the great Peng Race go extinct. Moreover, the person who was forced to commit suicide by Ling Xiao was his younger brother. Peng Nantian, you coward. Ancestor Ice Phoenix cursed angrily. A coward is a coward. Those who are killed are not your people. Of course, you won't feel sorry for them. Peng Nantian roared. Ling Xiao's lips curled into a sneer. Peng Nantian really dared to make a vicious oath. For the sake of the entire race, he was willing to go all out. Should he let them go? But this was far from enough. He looked at Peng Nantian and said, "Just not being enemies with me is not enough. I want your great Peng race to submit to my heavenly empire. From now on, you will be slaves forever. You're going too far. Peng Nantian roared. Going too far? Becoming a slave of the heavenly empire is better than dying. Do you really plan to let the great Peng race on the divine Phoenix continent be exterminated? Ling Xiao said indifferently. If you were me, what would you do? Actually, there was no need to answer this question. Peng Nantian's method would definitely be even crueler than Ling Xiao's. He would not give Ling Xiao any chance to live. Even if he swore a vicious oath, it would be useless. In the end, Ling Xiao was not the kind of person who treated human lives like grass. However, he would not easily forgive the great Peng race. Letting the great Peng race become the slaves of the heavenly empire, and forever, this was the best choice. Not only would it strengthen the heavenly empire, but it would also save a lot of effort. Of course, whether Peng Nantian would agree or not was another matter. This, I can't make the decision. I have to go back and discuss it with the upper echelons of the race. Peng Nantian hesitated. Don't play tricks with me. Your great Peng race has always been under the control of the patriarch. Since you're unwilling, then don't blame me. I won't leave a single one of the great Peng race and the peacock race alive. I'll kill them all. Ling Xiao's words carried a tone that left no room for discussion. Brother, just agree. You've seen this guy's strength. Moreover, he has so many Yinyang realm martial artists helping him. If you don't agree, our great Peng race will definitely be exterminated. The elder of the great Peng race did not want to die. Therefore, at this time, he began to persuade his elder brother. The great Peng race is really a bunch of trash. I believe that if Kong Ran was still alive, he would definitely not let the peacock race succumb to Ling Xiao's despotic power. Ancestor Ice Phoenix said coldly, but he's already dead. Peng Nantian touched his chest. That was where the Moon Maiden had injured him. Looking at the corpses all over the ground, he finally took out the patriarch's keepsake of the great Peng race and swore to the heavens. Chapter 1499. They really had to become slaves. Of the more than 1,000 cultivators from the Peacock race and Great Rock race, only a 9th Grotto Heaven Realm elder from the Great Rock race remained. And under Ling Xiao's coercion, the Great Rock race's patriarch, Peng Nantian, had actually chosen to use the patriarch's token to swear eternal servitude. Swearing an oath in the mystic world was not like some other places where one could treat it lightly. Here, an oath represented the power of laws. Since one swore an oath, breaking the oath would inevitably result in punishment. Peng Nantian's so-called punishment was that the heavens and earth would destroy the Great Rock race. This could be said to be an extremely heavy oath. No matter how much time passed, the Great Rock race would definitely not betray Ling Xiao, because no one could bear such a terrifying oath. Such an outcome was incomparably shocking to everyone. No one had expected that Ling Xiao would be able to eliminate more than 1,000 people with his own strength, and even make the high and mighty Great Rock race's patriarch, Peng Nantian, admit defeat. This guy was really too terrifying. 1,000 Heaven Realm experts, 100 Grotto Heaven Realm powerhouses, and the Peacock race and Great Rock race joining forces. No matter where this kind of lineup was placed, as long as they did not encounter a Yin-Yang realm cultivator, they could easily destroy any country. But today, Ling Xiao made them collapse in front of everyone, completely collapsing. He wanted to tell everyone that if anyone dared to kill his family and friends, then their final outcome was either death or becoming a slave. Moreover, becoming a slave depended on whether or not you had the qualifications. The Great Rock race was a force that could not be ignored. Ling Xiao could accept them as slaves. This could increase the Heavenly Dynasty Empire's fighting strength. If it was any other small sect, Ling Xiao would probably not even bat an eyelid and directly annihilate them. Peng Nantian and Peng Nanyan stood behind Ling Xiao like frosted eggplants. Ling Xiao stood proudly, his gaze sweeping over the crowd. His ink-black eyes were cold and ruthless. His infamy had been around for a long time, but in the past many people only thought of him as a monster who could destroy experts of his generation at any time. But today, people suddenly discovered that Ling Xiao's strength was absolutely not limited to his peers. Even in the face of stronger opponents, he was still a terrifying nightmare. He could smile happily at you, but he could also mercilessly turn himself into an emotionless killing god. Next target, the peacock race. Ling Xiao looked at Peng Nantian and Peng Nanyun and said, "Since you've sworn to be my slaves, then your first mission is to destroy the peacock race. Of course, if they can elect a new patriarch and swear loyalty to me, then I won't kill them." Peng Nantian and Peng Nanyun looked at each other and smiled bitterly. In fact, they should have thought of such a mission long ago. However, when they were really assigned by Ling Xiao, they felt very uncomfortable. "You're not willing?" Ling Xiao asked coldly. "I don't dare. This servant will do it right away." Of course, Peng Nantian didn't dare to go against Ling Xiao, not because he kept his promise, but because he was afraid of God's punishment. He wanted to persuade the peacock race to submit to Ling Xiao like them. In this way, they could smoothly complete the mission without using weapons. "Ling Xiao, don't go too far. This divine Phoenix Empire is not your celestial empire. You can't do whatever you want." Ancestor Ice Phoenix was really angry and shouted angrily, "That's right, the divine Phoenix Empire is not my celestial empire, but it will soon become a part of the celestial empire." Ling Xiao's cold voice was filled with strong confidence. "What do you mean?" Ancestor Ice Phoenix asked in shock. "You'll know what I mean soon." Ling Xiao smiled faintly. Naturally, he wouldn't announce his plan. He was staying in the divine Phoenix Empire now, on one hand, to take revenge, and on the other hand, to restrain these experts. "Are we still fighting?" Ji Ruolong looked at Ancestor Ice Phoenix and asked with a frown. "Are we fighting?" Ancestor Ice Phoenix looked at Dan Yunsheng. Dan Yunsheng's expression wasn't very good. He originally planned to kill Ling Xiao when the Moon Maiden was in a daze after Ling Xiao was killed. But now, not only was Ling Xiao not dead, but he had also displayed his invincible might. If they fought now, the ones with low morale wouldn't be the other side, but the cultivators on their side. What to do? He didn't know what to do. The current situation was simply terrible. Kill. However, just as he was feeling annoyed, the enemy opposite him gave the order. They knew that the morale on their side was low, and the Moon Maiden naturally knew this too. So they didn't attack now? When would they attack? If Ling Xiao's killing of the peacock race and rock race cultivators could be said to be tragic, then the battle between Yin-Yang realm experts would definitely be shocking and terrifying. No one in the divine Phoenix Empire would forget this terrifying day. It was as if doomsday had arrived in the sky above the killing dragon forest. The battle lasted for 3 days and 3 nights. In the end, the Righteous Alliance Lord was killed, the Water God Hall Emissary was killed, the Dark God Hall Assassin was killed, the Ice Phoenix Ancestor was killed, and Dan Yunsheng was killed. Feng Ming Xiao, Raven Queen, to be inconsolable, Ji Ruolong, and the Yin-Yang Demon King were injured and fled. On the other side, Ancestor Lasting Joy, Zhu Tianlin, and Feng Qingyan were also heavily injured. Hong Qi, the Wine Demon Sword, and the Moon Maiden were all injured to varying degrees. But the problem was that during the battle, Ling Xiao had laid down the Heaven Reversal Formation, allowing the cultivators on their side to constantly recover from their injuries. In addition, he had generously provided so many pills. As a result, even though they were outnumbered, not a single person had died. Of course, the key reason was that the Wine Demon Sword and the Moon Maiden were simply too strong. Those Yin-Yang realm experts that had been killed had basically been killed by the two of them. This terrifying battle had finally come to an end. The terrified cultivators of the capital finally breathed a sigh of relief. At the same time, Peng Nantian also brought good news. After Peng Nanshan's cruel massacre, the remaining forces of the Peacock clan finally elected a new clan leader. Furthermore, they swore an oath to be loyal to Ling Shao, to the Heavenly Empire, and to be eternal slaves. At this point, the two great clans of the Divine Phoenix Empire, the Rock Clan and the Peacock Clan, were basically finished. If they had been slaughtered, their descendants might still have a chance to take revenge. But if they swore loyalty, they wouldn't even have a chance to take revenge. Ling Xiao's solemn face finally revealed a smile. Then he thanked the Wine Demon's sword, Zhu Tianlin, and the others one by one. Furthermore, he gave them healing pills to let them recover first. Finally, he walked to the Moon Maiden's side and personally treated his woman's injuries. "Little man, you've finally become more reliable. Perhaps it won't be long before I really have to rely on your protection." The Moon Maiden's words of love were filled with incomparable sweetness and warmth. Many people who heard it couldn't help but feel jealous. It was only in front of Ling Shao that the noble and cold Moon Maiden would act like a little woman. To her, Ling Shao was her everything, and when she realized that in Ling Xiao's eyes, she was also so important, she was naturally moved. Chapter 1500. It's far from enough. If it wasn't for you powerhouses, I wouldn't have been able to do anything. Ling Shao was telling the truth. Even though he was already at the peak of the 7th Grotto Heaven realm, without the protection of the Moon Lady and the others, the outcome of the battle might be completely different. Cough, cough. You guys take your time. This old man should return to Tian Canopy, Immortal Island. I've been out for a few days. I don't know how the situation there is. Zhu Tianlin coughed dryly. Yes, this old man also needs to return to Chang Lu Immortal Island to deal with the traitor. Ancestor Chang Lu was very happy at this moment. Dan Yunsheng was killed, and there was only one Vice Island Master left in Chang Lu Immortal Island, who was no match for him. This Chang Lu Immortal Island was finally going to belong to him again. His forbearance for such a long time had not been in vain. I'm also going back. If there's anything, just call me. Demon Liquor Sword was the most straightforward. After speaking, he broke through the sky and left. He was also in a good mood because the faster Ling Xiao grew, the greater the hope of him rescuing Ji Lingyue. Hongqi smiled. Although he was Ling Xiao's grandfather, he couldn't be a third wheel. Good grandson, where is Ji Ning now? I'll go see him. There are some things that I haven't told him clearly. Linhai City. Ling Xiao lowered his voice and said, "Just yesterday, Haim Myungkeo returned to the imperial capital and told Ling Xiao that the Heavenly Empire's army was already deployed near Linhai City. They even took back Northern Desert City, and a part of the army was stationed in Northern Desert City. 2 cities, one facing the Black Crow Empire and the other facing the Divine Phoenix Empire. Linhai City was also a transportation hub connected to the waterway, allowing the Heavenly Empire's army to freely travel. Are you really going to start a war with the Black Crow Empire and the Divine Phoenix Empire at the same time?" Hongqi asked in surprise. "Swallow as many cities as you can." Ling Xiao didn't have any extravagant hopes of directly taking down the Divine Phoenix Empire and the Black Crow Empire in one go. He only wanted to take advantage of this chaos to seize a few more cities. This way, he would have a foothold in the Divine Phoenix continent. That's more like it. Otherwise, you wouldn't have so many experts to guard it, right? Hongqi smiled. "Grandfather, I'm afraid that you still don't know. Our Heavenly Empire's current strength on the surface doesn't lose to the Divine Phoenix Empire and the Black Crow Empire. We have quite a few Yin-Yang Realm and Grotto Heaven Realm experts. Now that the Great Rock Race and the Peacock Race have submitted, their strength will only increase." Ling Xiao said proudly. "Hee, you're really amazing. Actually, the strength of a country doesn't lie in how many experts it has, but in its ability to produce experts." Hongqi smiled and said, "All right, Grandfather will make a trip to Forest Ocean City. It can be considered as helping you check. However, you have to be careful when you stay in the imperial capital. Be wary of those people who want to settle the score. Don't worry, Grandfather. With Sister Moon Maiden and the Demon Wine soared around, no one will dare to act rashly. Ling Xiao said, That's true. The two of them are probably the strongest warriors in the Heavenly Dragon Continent and the Divine Phoenix Continent. Especially after today's battle, no one will dare to provoke them again. Otherwise, that person will either be stupid or an idiot. Hong Qi nodded and left with a peace of mind. Long Chen, Shan Guanhong, Hai Mian Ko, and the others left with him. Only Cold Plum and the Silver Moon Greedy Wolf stayed behind. With the war about to begin, these few people would be able to achieve great things in Forest Ocean City. Moreover, it would also be of great help to their cultivation. They wouldn't be able to learn much if they stayed in the academy. Let's go back to the academy. Ling Xiao looked at the Moon Maiden and said, There's something that I think needs to be done. That old man, Zhou Yun, is no longer suitable to be the dean of Qingshu College. Ling Xiao was most dissatisfied with Zhou Yun for this incident. His own students were bullied, but he didn't even dare to speak up for them. He was even worse than the vice dean, Feng Qinyan. No wonder Qingshu College had been getting weaker and weaker in recent years. It seemed to have a lot to do with the dean's ability. All right, I'll help you with whatever you want to do. Ling Xiao was willing to come all the way to save her, regardless of whether he really had the ability or not. She was very touched that he had the heart to do so. The feelings between the two of them became even more intense. Then the Moon Maiden and Ling Xiao left Dragon Slaying Forest and returned to Qingshu College. Seeing the two of them leave, the warriors in the imperial capital breathed a sigh of relief, one after another. No one had expected that Ling Xiao would bring them such a terrifying battle this time. This was simply too shocking. It showed that he had forced the Rock Clan and the Peacock Clan to become slaves and killed so many Yin-Yang Realm experts. Those were Yin-Yang Realm experts, not Grotto Heaven Realm experts or Celestial Realm experts. They died just like that. Wasn't it said that it was difficult for Yin-Yang Realm experts to die? This was a huge shock to everyone. From today on, Ling Xiao's name would really resound throughout the Divine Phoenix Continent. Today's scene was even more shocking than when he defeated the Black Crow army, killed Timur Mutu, captured Tomohiko Kuma alive, and single-handedly rescued General Jining. After today's incident, even those old fellows who usually stayed behind the scenes and never cared about the outside world had to start paying attention to this terrifying existence that rose like a comet. After all, Ling Xiao was not yet a Yin-Yang Realm expert, but he was already able to make the two great clans bow down to him. If he advanced to the Yin-Yang Realm, what kind of scene would it be? Would those old fellows still be able to suppress this disobedient monster? Of course, while people were still shocked by what happened in Dragon Slaying Forest, another major event was being carried out in Linhai City. Ling Xiao's revenge was not over yet. Making the Rock Clan and the Peacock Clan bow down to him was only the first step. It was just the beginning. One day, the entire Sky Dragon Continent and Divine Phoenix Continent would listen to Ling Xiao's orders. Then, Ling Xiao's goal in the Divine Phoenix Continent would be completely achieved. 3 days and 3 nights was enough for the news here to spread throughout the Divine Phoenix Continent. Even the White Tiger Continent's 4 great empires and a large sect received this news. Everyone's reactions were different, but there was only one common emotion. That was shock. It was an unimaginable shock. A 17-year-old youth had turned the entire Divine Phoenix continent upside down. Wasn't this enough to shock people? For a time, Ling Xiao's information were placed on the tables of the various large factions. Everyone was studying this fellow who suddenly rose to prominence. Sacred Dynasty Immortal Island in a secret chamber. Ji Ruolong was recuperating. His face was filled with anger and unwillingness. In front of him stood a young man, Ji Huangtian. Huangtian, you know what happened in the divine Phoenix capital, right? Ji Ruolong asked through gritted teeth. Chapter 1501. Do you know what happened in the divine Phoenix Empire? Ji Ruolong asked with a gloomy expression. Grandson already knows. Ji Huangtian nodded. Since you know, then you should understand that it's almost impossible to bypass the Moon Maiden and the Demon Liquor Sword to kill Ling Xiao. So during the Dragon Phoenix election, you have to kill that brat for grandfather. Ji Ruolong roared angrily. Grandson understands. It was as if Ji Huangtian was talking about something very ordinary. Although he was very shocked when the news first came, he came to a conclusion after calming down. Ling Xiao was not his opponent. The reason why that brat was so arrogant and had such a brilliant battle record was because he had the support of the Moon Maiden and the Demon Liquor Sword. So during the Dragon Phoenix election, he had to let Ling Xiao taste his power and clear the name of his grandfather and the sacred dynasty's immortal island. If he defeated Ling Xiao, then it would prove that Ling Xiao was just a coward hiding behind a woman. Almost at the same time, the same thing happened in the Black Crow Empire, Divine Phoenix Empire, Ice Phoenix Clan, and Permitha Immortal Island. However, one was a conversation between the Raven Queen and the first and second fiend. The other was a conversation between Fengming Wuliang, Fengming Qishan, Fengming Wushan, and his sons. No matter who it was, as long as they could kill Ling Xiao, it would be a victory for Fengming Wuliang. To be inconsolable and Zhong Yu, Huang Quan's conversation in the Permitha Immortal Island. They knew very well that directly seeking revenge from Ling Xiao was not something that was very likely to happen. As long as the Moon Maiden didn't die, they couldn't kill Ling Xiao no matter what. But the Dragon Phoenix election was a very good opportunity. It was a battle between young people under the age of 30. In this aspect, they still had an advantage. However, there was another matter in the Divine Phoenix Empire that made Fengming Wuliang a little anxious. Monarch, the Celestial Empire's army has already occupied Linhai City and Northern Desert City, forming a triangle. We must quickly resolve this. That's right, Emperor. While Ling Xiao and the Moon Maiden are still in the imperial capital, send experts to Linhai City. Even if we have to burn it, we can't leave it to the Heavenly Empire. Your Majesty, we can't hesitate any longer. We have to dispatch our troops immediately. Your Majesty. The atmosphere in the entire hall was very oppressive, with some tension and anger. Ling Xiao avenged his family and friends. Not only did he subdue the Peacock Clan and the Great Rock Clan, he even dared to take advantage of the situation to allow the Heavenly Dynasty Empire's army to occupy Divine Phoenix Empire cities. This matter, if it could be tolerated, what could be tolerated? Listening to the arguments of the ministers, the Emperor Fengming Wuliang did not say a word. His face was extremely cold, and his body emitted a dense killing intent that was enough to make the mosquitoes that flew past him fall to the ground and die tragically. He was already furious that Ling Xiao had killed their Ice Phoenix Patriarch, but because of the Moon Maiden and the Liquor Demon Sword, he couldn't take revenge. The upper echelons of the clan also suggested to put this grudge aside for the time being and wait for an opportunity. Fengming Wuliang, who was already full of anger, lost all reason when he heard the news of Divine Phoenix Empire cities being occupied. If he could even tolerate this kind of thing, wouldn't he, the Emperor, be too cowardly? Linhai City, that was a star city that he single-handedly built. It was a place that he vigorously promoted after the Northern Desert City was abandoned. And the one who was stationed in Linhai City was also his younger brother. He had once treated this as his own political achievement. He wanted to let the people know that even without Northern Desert City and Jining, Divine Phoenix Empire's Northern Gate was still stable. But now, when the news reached the capital, Linhai City was actually easily conquered by Ling Xiao. How could he still have any face left? and his younger brother, his son Feng Ming Songshan, also died in this battle. They were all killed by Ling Xiao and his friends. Not only did he lose face, but he also suffered a disastrous loss. Even though many people were saying that they supported him, they were laughing at him behind his back. If he couldn't take back Lin Hai City, let alone wait until the emperor election, he would probably be impeached as emperor very soon and then dejectedly resign. This was what he couldn't accept. "Father, now that things have come to this, why don't your son take your place and take back Lin Hai City?" The one who spoke was Feng Ming Wuliang's second son, Mount Fengming. In terms of cultivation and strength, this person was probably on par with Feng Yinshan and Feng Mingqishan. But because he belonged to the Righteous Alliance and was a divine guard of justice, he would not participate in the rankings outside. But his strength was unquestionable. "Emperor, if young Master Junshan takes action, this matter will definitely succeed. This lowly subject is also willing to assist." The one who stepped forward was one of the 12 divine generals, the Ice General. When General Blazing Fire was killed, he hated Ling Xiao to the bone and had been looking for a chance to take revenge. But Ling Xiao's growth was simply too fast. He knew that he couldn't take revenge alone, so if he joined this group, he would definitely be able to accomplish great things. "Junshan, you don't have to go. We want you and Tianshan to leave the Divine Guard of Justice and participate in the Dragon Phoenix selection. You are the true hope of the Ice Phoenix race, so you must set your sights further." Mount Fengming was Feng Ming Wuliang's second son. Feng Ming Tianshan was Feng Ming Wuliang's eldest son. These two were the strongest of his sons, and they were also the ones he placed the most hope on. He was thinking that, if he failed, these two sons would be his hope. As long as he defeated Feng Mingqishan and Feng Yinshan in the Dragon Phoenix election, his sons could also become the heir. After all, in the Divine Phoenix Empire, there was a very important factor in becoming the heir: strength. If your strength was inferior to your competitors, then no matter how good you were in other aspects, it would be useless. "But father, who will go to Lin Hai City?" Mount Fengming asked. "Left commander, right guard, get ready. We will personally lead the army this time." Feng Ming Wuliang stood up and shouted sternly. He had no choice. This trip to Lin Hai City was the most crucial one in his political career. The left commander and right guard were his most loyal subordinates, and they were both first-level Yin-Yang realm experts. Adding him, 3 Yin-Yang realm experts were heading to Lin Hai City. He didn't believe that he couldn't take Lin Hai City back from the enemy's hands. At this moment, Feng Ming Wuliang's emotions were really complicated. In the past, he didn't take Ling Xiao seriously at all. Even after Ling Xiao established the Heavenly Empire, he still didn't take Ling Xiao and the so-called Heavenly Empire seriously. He thought that, as long as he was willing, he could destroy the Heavenly Empire at any time. This time, he took back Ling Xiao's title of Heavenly Dragon King because he wanted to take advantage of the chaos to invade the Heavenly Empire and occupy the Heavenly Dragon Continent. But he didn't expect that Ling Xiao would turn the tables and occupy his Lin Hai City. This despicable brat had already grown to a point where he couldn't be ignored. Since he couldn't kill this brat for the time being, he might as well take down Lin Hai City first and let this brat understand that even with the protection of the Moon Maiden, the weak mob of the Heavenly Empire couldn't do anything. You're tuning in to the Thunder Spear YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.